The boy says, running you know. There is a young boy with brown eyes and brown hair, with a young girl, who has beautiful blue eyes and gray hair. The girl says, sorry. Then the boy says I am a slow runner. No matter how much I practiced, I never got better at it. The boy is wearing a purple Huanfu Chinese gown. Girl is also wearing the same dress in pink color. The girls say to him that I am aware. Don't say that I am unimaginably slow. Ever since elementary, I mean ever since I was young, I've always gotten last place in running. Then he remembers a race during school in which he was slow. Then he says that I got bullied for it a lot too. They would harass me then run away. Then the girl asks him, you don't have any friends, young master? The boys say, anyway, I chased after those guys. They probably thought I wouldn't be able to catch them. The girl says, well, yeah, you are a slow runner. Then the young master says, right, but I got up to them all. Young master remembers how he caught them and beat their asses. Then the girl asks, how did you caught up to them? Young master says, I didn't give up. I didn't give up even when it felt like my heart was going to give up, and I tested blood. There is blood on the hand of girl when she puts her hand on her mouth. Then the young master says, I won't give up this time either. No matter what anyone says. There is a knife stained with blood on the stony floor. It looks like they are sitting on a floor in a stony cave. There is a blood on girl's mouth. Then she says, you are so mature, young master. Young master says, I refuse to get caught by the assassins easily. I am gonna fight until the end. Then the girl says, you are weak. But I still like hearing that. Then the young master says, I am gonna run away again even if I get caught. Okay. I am gonna make sure to eat the medicines you tell me to take and take care of my body. I am gonna live until I am 100-inch. Then he holds her, and she puts her head on his shoulder, and young master says, sleep well. There are wooden stairs. These stairs goes up and then outside the cave. Some people are talking outside the cave. Don't overlook a single point. One of them is hurt. They can't have gone far. Young master thinks, damn it, they are fast. He let the girl lay on stone. Then he says, I will make sure to come back to carry out a proper funeral for you. There is blood here, look around there. I won't give myself up. Because I promised Sowa. Young master is thinking of his past life. Fighting cancer felt very long and painful. In the end I had thought I could find the rest. He remembers when he was a baby with nipple folded in a cloth sleeping in a cart. But instead, I reincarnated into a Murim family you would read about 14 years ago. What was lucky was that the family I was reincarnated into was one of the 7 great clans. The Baek clan, established by the legendary martial artist, the divine immortal blade. But there was a problem. The body I was reincarnated into was born with Tyin Qi blockage. Disorder in which you cannot collect internal energy. Most with this order die before the age of 20. That was an unacceptable flaw as the direct bloodline of the martial arts clan. Thanks to that I left the clan the year I turned 12 and stayed in a far-off place waiting for my death. But I had Sowa to keep me company. I felt that I would not be bad to live a peaceful and quiet life like this. That was, until I was pushed to the brink of death. Shit, is this the end of the path? A rusted sword is all there is. I probably can't even cut through a radish with this sword. I guess it's better than nothing. It's heavier than I expected. He tries to carry the sword that was stuck in the stony floor. Young master hears a sound from back. Found you, you sure run like a little rat for someone whose is supposed to be a disciple of a renowned clan. There is a man with dark brown hair and mark near his eye. He is wearing black mask and black dress. He is with so many other men wearing black hat and black mask. The man says, you run your mouth with arrogance despite your inferiority. How dare you put a blade on someone of the Baek clan? Then young master says to him that if you reveal your identity and beg forgiveness you may have a chance of being spared. But in his head, he is fearful, and he thinks, please don't take off that mask. When the man, with the mark near his eye, says, you are still bold despite being fragile. The man puts his hand on his chin. All the men are carrying sword. Then he says, all right, I will reveal my name. I am Jik Pyo. And then he removes his mask. Young master asks Jik Pyo, are you after my life? Pyo says, pretty smart. Yes, I need to serve your head up to the Lord. Young master says to him while taking out the sword, I will cut off that serpent tongue of yours. Pyo says to him that you are braver than the rumors made you out to be. I will let you have the first attack. Then young master says to him, can I do this? With sword techniques that are basically play pretend? A man in a white gown, white hair, and big white beard, is folding his arms and standing near young master. There is blue light around him. He is a ghost and he says to the young master, that's not how you should hold a sword. What a weak and imprudent descendant. Young master says what? A ghost. Then Pyo says, what the hell are you doing right now? Young master asks him surprisingly, what do you mean? Don't you see that? That thing that just appeared. Then that ghost says to young master that you should behave with politeness. Pyo says to young master that you must have gone insane from the fear. Then young master thinks that, can the not see him? Maybe he's the ghost of an ancestor. Then the afterworld exists? I will see you soon then. Soa is wearing pink dress, she has so many pink flowers. Then Pyo says, never mind. I have misjudged you. I'll just kill you. Then Pyo takes out his sword on young master. Sword Qi. He is stronger than I thought, but I need to at least fight till the end if I want to face Soa again with dignity. The ghost again appears and says to young master, you didn't learn swordsmanship? Your posture is a mess. You speak rather casually to me. Young master says, Qi blockage. I have Taiyin Qi blockage. Do I look like I could care about that right now? Then ghost says that it is fate that we met in such a situation. Leave the sword to me, Baek Skonkian, the divine immortal blade. I shall borrow your body for a bit. Pyo says, enough with the bullshit. Then he takes out his sword to attack young master. The ghost enters into the body of young master, then the young master takes out his sword to attack back and he says to Pyo, an assassin dares not put a blade on a Baek martial artist. Due to the attack of young master, Pyo looks so afraid and he says to himself that, how is it possible? Young master says, I will show you at the price of your lives, the seventh form of the heaven and earth blade. My body is moving on its own. Young master thinks while he is fighting with the sword. Also, the last three forms of the heaven and earth blade technique were lost, so there is only up until the sixth form. Repent you evil. Then the young master says heaven and earth blade technique seventh, one-handed moon shuddering, and he attacks with the sword. He thinks that this ghost might actually be the divine immortal blade. All the men along Pyo who are fighting fall on the ground due to attack of young master. Then the ghost asks young master, did you see that? But the young master now falls on the ground. Then he again asks young master that I asked you if you saw. Young master questions him that see what? The man says that the immortal heaven and earth blade. Then the young master says yes, I did, while he is laying on the ground and stained with blood. Young master thinks, Soa wouldn't have died if I were capable of this kind of stuff. The ghosts say, then good. That was my last act of kindness for my dying descendant. Young master asks him, am I gonna die? The ghost says, yes. I couldn't do anything about it. I pushed your body to the extreme despite it being already broken from the Qi blockage. You could have been saved by miracle medicines like the pure milk of heaven and earth or the millennium snow ginseng, though. Young master thinks of a millennium snow ginseng that he ate last year. Did the one I ate last year work somewhat? The ghost looks confused and says that I am not sure about it. Man with big eyes, mustache, and small beard, wearing a black cap, looks like a doctor, says smiling that it is a miracle. It's a Baek clan medicine room. A man is sleeping on a bed taking a white cloth over her body. The doctor and a young boy are standing over him. The boy asks, will my brother live? The doctor says that, of course, he looks lively. Has young Master Igong ever taken any rare miracle medicines? The young boy is Baek clan's second young master, Baek Igong's younger brother, Baek Hujuan. Hujuan says, we did visit the pharmacy once hoping to treat this Qi blockage. Then the doctor says, not that. I mean something like the snow ginseng or the Shaolin medicine. Baek Hujuan is looking towards the doctor and listening to him. Then doctor says, well, I guess they wouldn't give something that precious to someone like him. Then he looks to young master and says that he must be waking up. Aren't you going to wait? Baek Hajun says, tell him to visit the Red Dragon Hall once he is awake. The patriarch has something to ask him. Then the doctor says to Baek Hajun even if he wakes up it is necessary that he has rest. I know the young leader position is much more powerful with the lack of an older brother, but he is too harsh. Then young Master Igang wakes up and sits on his bed. Then the doctor says to him that you cannot get up yet. You young master asks Soa. Where's Soa? Then doctor says that if you mean the servant, they have already hosted a funeral. It has been 2 weeks. Then the young master asks doctor where my sword is. The doctor says that, if you mean that rusted sword. You had it in your hand at all times, so I removed it. The patriarch has taken it. The young master says, he was looking for me, right? I will get going then. Then the young master puts his red cloth over it and gets out of his bed. Then the doctor says that please be careful. Doesn't it hurt? The doctor thinks that he must be in extreme pain from all the QI and blood ruptures. Considering the seizures from the QI blockage and the chemotherapy treatment, this much pain is nothing. Then the young master says that, I am used to it. And thanks for saving my life then goodbye. The doctor says, no. I just did what I should. Then the doctor thinks that the rumors said he was a lazy and fragile fool. It was all false. Then the young master wearing his red gown, is standing in front of a big red gate, and the 2 guards are standing outside the gate with stairs, leading to the gate. It is Igang. Come in. Breath in. Don't be nervous. There is a man sitting on a chair, looks like a king. The chair is located on the highest position on a stage. One man is standing near the chair, folding his arms, in order to honor the king, and many men are standing down the stage. Young master is standing in front of the patriarch. He sees the ghost, sitting above the king chair. The ghost says, you are awake, nice to see you. The young master thinks, why are you coming from there? 200 years ago, after the heyday of the divine immortal blade, with the declining number of people with the surname Beck, the great Beck family, which was on the path to downfall, was able to find its light thanks to the new patriarch, Beck Ryuzan, with his supreme martial arts. Jianghu gave him the nickname, Merciless Iron Blood. And I never would have imagined. Igang looks so scared. Patriarch asks him, is there something on my face? The ghost says, why does everyone look like they are chewing on shit? Whoa. You really went fancy with the decoration? He must be the present patriarch, right? Young master thinks that someone would one day treat my father like this. Then ghost says, he's got quite the lush mustache. Then the ghost passes his hand from king's body and takes out his tongue in funny way. The young master looks so confused, and he thinks that I thought he'd actually grab it, so I freaked out. Then the ghost tries to look innocent after trying to grab mustache of the king. The king then calls young master, but young master is busy in seeing the ghost doing funny things. Then the young master says, forgive me, my body hasn't fully recovered yet. You called for me. Young master sits down. The king says, that's right, I called for you. The assassins who attack your manor, do you know who they were? The young master thinks that does he want to test my reasoning? King says, I was wondering if it was perhaps the demonic alliance guys. They are the wariest of expanding our forces. Then the young master says to King that it's probably not them. They hid their martial arts, but they were not from the demon alliance. If they were in their right minds, they would not have dared to put a hand on the Beck clan. Even if they unsheathed their swords out of insanity, they wouldn't have gone after me, who isn't ever even the young leader. After listening to young master, the king says that you seem to have changed a bit. But the young master denied. Then the king says that you don't have a conclusion. And young master replies that no, I don't. King says, everyone else but you have died. Aren't you ashamed as a bloodline of the Beck clan? But the young master says that I am happy to be alive and I need to be alive in order to avenge the dead. Then the king asks the young master to come up here. But the young master looks the king confusingly. Then the king again says that I said come up here. The young master goes up the stairs and stand in front of the king. Then the king asks the young master, how did you eliminate those assassins? The sword traces left on their bodies were definitely of the heaven and earth blade technique. Young master looks so confused and says, I knew it. It makes no sense for me to have killed those assassins when I can't even use internal energy. Then the young master thinks, but even if I do tell the truth that the ghost of the divine immortal blade possessed my body and fought in my stead, there is no way it would work out like that. I need to mix in as much of the truth as possible. Then the young master says to the kings that at the end of the storage is secret pathway. I found a strange space marked with the line. The king asks, a strange space? The young master says, yes. The moment I set foot in it, my mind felt strange. And my body moved on its own to fight the assassins. And not long after that, I lost consciousness. What are strange phenomena? Then the king holds the hand of young master and says, wait a strange. Please calm down. Then the king says that your QI blockage hasn't improved. And no internal energy either. Alright. You are excused. Then the young master says to the king that please give me back my sword. And the king looks on that rusty sword and says, you mean this garbage? So, you want to pretend to be a martial artist? Then the king gives the sword back to young master. And young master says thanks to the king. Young master is walking on the path and the ghost is walking near to him and he says to young master, are their eyes just for decoration? Rusty old garbage? Can't even recognize the renowned sword. The young master replies, I don't think they were that harsh with the description. But is this what really the great? Then the ghost says, yes. That sword is made from the meteorite. It's my favorite sword, meteor. Young master says, meteor child is stored in the court of elders. Then the ghost replies, it must be fake, then. Although I don't know why they would do that. And the patriarch is as cold and cruel as a serpent. How can he be a father and hate his own son so much? Then young master says that I don't think he hates me. Young master remembers the conversation between the doctor and patriarch. The patriarch asked the doctor, where would I have gotten the millennium snow ginseng? Then the doctor replies, patriarch, but this is so rare. Have Igong take it. Be discreet about it. Igong says to ghost, father got it for me in secret. I feel like a weight's been lifted of my shoulders. Then the ghost asks, did he grab your wrist earlier to try and heal your internal injuries, then? Is he like a father who is too embarrassed to openly express his love? Young master says maybe. Patriarch is sitting on his chair and a clan manager is standing over him. He says to the king that to message him using internal energy without the elders noticing, you've done hard work. King says, hard work? No. He is having a hard time. His body's a mess. I could only try that thanks to the physician treatment. Then the clan manager says that I'll make sure to reward the physician. Then the patriarch calls clan manager. And the clan manager says yes patriarch. The patriarch asks, was I too harsh? We hadn't seen each other in so long. Clan manager says, not at all, patriarch. I'm sure the young master will one day understand how you feel. Patriarch says, no, it's better if he doesn't know. Maybe he'll feel better if he blames me. Then the clan manager says, but I am concerned by the something the young master said earlier. The patriarch says that, the strange incident? And the clan manager say yes. Perhaps his martial prowess is awakening. You said so yourself when the young master was still young that two geniuses were born. It was pointless even if that were true. It would only push those who are itching to make Igong the young leader. I want that child to live the remaining years of his life freely. Then the clan manager says, that I apologize, I should not have said that. And the patriarch says, anyways, I can't just leave those guys alone. Send the Red Dragon Brigade. Yes sir, clan manager says. It's Ruby Training Hall. There is a big red carpet inside Ruby Training Hall and young master is sitting on it while the ghosted is standing over it. Then the ghost says, so, you are saying your father is harsher to you in order to justify having the second son be the young leader instead of you? And the young master says, yes that's right. Then the ghost says, weak. The patriarch of the Beck clan is being manipulated by the elders. Then young master says to the ghost that this is all thanks to you. The young master takes the shirt down from his shoulder and put his hand on the shoulder. The ghost seems confused and says, what? The young master says that you live a long life when you master immortal divine arts. Young master says while pointing toward the board on which the name of family members is written. Thanks to that, there are a bunch of family members above my father who are still alive. So how could he talk back to the elders? Great-grandmother is one of them. Then the ghost says, there's a reason why ancient sages emphasize the importance of filial piety. Young master thinks, and you are avoiding answers. Then the young master says, anyways, I am ready. And he sits on the red mat, while crossing his legs and putting his hands his knees. And the ghost says, all right. How to use core energy when there is a disconnect between QI and blood. It's actually simpler than you'd think. Just die. The young master smiles but eventually disappointed. Then the ghost says, I don't mean literally. You will use a different method. Do you know what your QI blockage is? Then the young master says, it's a rare disorder you are born with where the veins in which QI flow are disconnected. But the ghost says, it's wrong. All living beings having QI flowing through them. If QI could not flow through your body, you would already be dead. If QI is the water and veins are the river, QI blockage is if the river is as narrow as a creek. Then the young master says, so I can avoid dying and learn martial arts if my veins are wider? But ghost says, that would be nice, but that's impossible. I have slain countless people, but I have actually never seen that vein myself. There are only veins of blood, bones, and flesh in the human body. There is neither God nor soul. However, when I possessed your body, I use myself as a pillar to connect the QI veins. The term referring to will is God in a way, and energy is in the body core energy. I use the will of my mind to trick the body and QI. In other words, the body is the mind and the mind is the body that will change to divinity, become God when QI. Then the young master asks, can you summarize? And the ghost says, hard work. If you work hard, you might be able to connect the QI veins with the power of will. Then the young master remembers how his teacher used to lecture on the hard work. Not the hard work lecture again. First, on earth, and now, in this dimension. Then the ghost says, now, I assume you haven't learned the fire-sun-mind technique. Have you trained your Taiyin meridian? And the young master says that yes, I always train that to take care of myself. The Beck clan's generation secret, immortal divine arts, is made up of the fire-sun-mind technique and the Taiyin meridian. Fire-sun-mind technique is a technique that allows one to gather internal energy quickly and strongly. The Taiyin meridian is for clearing the mind. Most train with fire-sun-mind technique as the foundation, am I right? The young master replies, yes, most people finish Taiyin meridian at the age of 7 and start focusing on the fire-sun-mind technique. The ghost says, that's because the Taiyin meridian is incomplete. Since I completed the Taiyin meridian in my last years, I'm sure it'll be helpful to you. The young master says, really? I didn't know the Taiyin meridian was incomplete. Then the ghost says, that's right. I can't treat your QI blockage myself, but I can teach you some things. If the divine immortal blade says so. It might actually be possible to learn martial arts with this body. Then the young master says the ghost to please teach me. About 6 hours later. Young master is trying to punch the ghost. When the ghost says, your spirit is terrible, but your tenacity isn't bad. Start from the beginning again. The real purpose of the Taiyin meridian was to manifest your will into reality. You will realize the true meaning of that once you are able to touch my soul. Now put your will into your fist. You are quick to learn, so it will take you 3 years to reach me. And 10 to slay me. Then the ghost thinks, the more I learn about him, the more I like him. I am already overjoyed thinking about how to train him. However, the realm he wants to reach will be impossible to attain. Unless he dies once, gets revived, and infinitely overcomes failure. There is no way a 14-year-old boy could ever attain that kind of awakening. I just need to enjoy teaching a talented descendant. Then young masters think, let's remember the last months of my past life. Fall into selflessness and forget the body. I have not forgotten what I feel in that moment. The body rots and become dirt. What I felt back then and the thoughts I had. While the bones turn to ashes. The awakening is within. What remains is. I will apply that moment into my fist. And then the young master punches the ghost, and he succeeds. I am gonna cross over. The ghost says you are finally awake. You almost died thanks to someone. He is folding his arm and standing over young master. The young master is sitting on the red floor. Then he asks, did I faint? The ghost says, yeah, you dove in an attempt to help me cross over and collapsed immediately. Then the young master asks the ghost, are you okay? The ghost says, I was careless for a moment. This won't happen again. While you were sleeping, I thought deeply about it. To touch what cannot be touched is the first stage of the Taiyin meridian. This is not something you can achieve in just a quarter of day. If you haven't experienced complete death or the loss of your body and have only experienced existing as a soul. Did you reincarnate? Then the young master Igong says, how did you? The ghost replies while putting his hands on his waist, I was just wondering, but I was right. What kind of person were you in your previous life? A martial artist? A farmer? A scholar? Then the young master thinks how I explain these cars, smartphones, and huge buildings. He says I am someone who lived not in Zhongyuan, but in the distant future. The ghost says how surprising. If that old man from Chongram find out, things will turn inside out. The young monster thinks confusingly, that old man from Chongram? Thankfully, he is accepting it pretty easily. The ghost says, anyway, so it's future, it's true that you have reincarnated. If so, you, who have Taiyin QI blockage and have also reincarnated, you are perfect to learn my techniques. You are the only qualified person to inherit my progress. Okay, try and cut that moon. And the ghost points his finger toward the moon. Young master thinks, in both my previous and current life, it seemed that the world was always trying to betray me. Then the young master says to the ghost, but only I can do it? With this body? Yes, sir. Then the ghost says, oh yeah, the completed Taiyin meridian is hard to distinguish from its normal name, so what do you think about changing it? Since it will be the first time completing the Taiyin meridian, you can add Jin in front of it. But the young master's is no way. Then the ghost says to him that you don't even hear me out. What do you mean, no way? Then the young master says that my uncle's name is Jintao. Then the ghost says, what about that? Jintao, Jin Taiyin. 1 month later. It's Ruby Training Hall. 3 men are standing and watching the young master who is practicing on the red carpet. One of them says, it's 7 now, so it's already been 4 hours. I thought he would give up soon, but he is being consistent for 1 month straight. Then the other man says that maybe he is matured while staying here. As if he is doing something impressive. You call that training? He's just flailing around in broad daylight. Then the other man says that I does look like that. But it's true, he is changed a lot. Then the other man folding his arms says that he is probably just jealous that his younger sibling is becoming the young leader. The other man says, hey, Wang El. Why are you so bitter about young lord? Isn't it obvious? Wang El replies bitterly, he is lazy. He gets angry at the elders around him. He even flipped over the ancestral shrine 3 years ago because he was drunk. Though belatedly, he's definitely trying to look good in front of the elders because he's jealous of his talented younger sibling. How interesting. Then the brown hair man says, Grandmaster Nung. Grandmaster Nung is now standing in front of these 3 men, and he calls Nung says, Heek. To think the vassals are the talking shit behind their master's back. Nung is the clan's vassal and Baek Hajuan's master, Nung Jipyoung. All 3 men bow down in front of Nung and says, please forgive us, Grandmaster. We apologize, Grandmaster Nung. Then Nung says, you will not be able to avoid flogging leave. They say, yes. We shall take our leave. Now Nung is standing in a spectator's area and looking at the young master who is tired of practicing on the red floor. Nung thinks to use such shallow tricks that even these morons could see through. If he wants to act like he has changed his attitude, he should do it properly. As expected, the position of the young leader is only suited for young Lord Baek Hajuan, who has an excellent personality, martial talent, pedigree, and appearance. In comparison, young master is arrogant and lazy. Enjoys drinking, singing, and dancing, so how could he be the young leader? It makes no sense. Seeing how he is trying to achieve the Taiyin meridian. How dare he do such evil? The Ruby Training Hall's ruby is precious object that was obtained by slaying the cult leader of the Deathstrike cult with the divine immortal blade. The thermal water used to clean the ruby is made from the brazier, which he dares to make food in. I can't allow this. I will make it such he will never think of doing something like this again. And properly embarrass him. Young master is sitting on the red floor and cooking something in the pot. Nung says to young master to stop. And the young master says, stay right here. What? He noticed my presence? No way, we must guess. Then the young master says, I didn't guess. Nung thinks, how did he read my thoughts? Young master says, how is it possible that making food myself goes against etiquette and decorum? Humans die if they cannot eat. Nung looks afraid and he thinks he is reprimanding my actions. Young master says, Tien Qi blockage. While it means you are born with a weak body, it means that your sixth sense is sharper. That chilly air exuding from the young lord. It's enough to break through the heat of the yang of the ruby. Young master says, if you saw me, you should have come and said hi. Is he saying, how dare I not make myself known, hide my presence and approach him? He noticed my presence from the beginning. Then the young master says, it's you, Grandmaster Nung Jipyoung. Then Nung thinks, he knew, but he is acting like he didn't. How long are you going to mess with me, young lord? A while earlier. Young master is feeling very cold. He puts his hand on his arms and says, gosh, I am cold. Young master is sitting near the stove over a pot of food that is being cooked and the ghost is standing near him. He says to young master, I told you that the completed Tien meridian will consume all your Yin Qi. Once you reach the next stage you will be able to control it. Then the young master says while shivering, that's why I came to the Ruby Training Hall, but I guess there are limits. Gosh, the cold air from my body. Now young master is taking a plate of hot dumplings in his hand and he says that this will make it better. Ghost says, to thinks of replenishing your Yang Qi with food, you are quite smart sometimes. Then the young master says, I have already made the broth, so I just need to put in the dumplings. The ghost says, the smell is amazing. What is this? Then the young master says that this is the dumpling stew I made using the methods from my previous life. The ghost says it looks quite good. To think you had such a talent. The ghost mouth is now watering, and he goes near to young master and tries to look into the pot. Then the young master says him angrily, stop. Go and stand over there. Then the ghost says, is it okay to just eyeball the seasoning? Then the young master says, that it's a bit bland. I am not just eyeballing it. Then the young master takes a spoonful of the food and eat it and says yes. This is the taste. And becomes so happy after eating. Then the ghost says, someone of the Beck clan truly has no decorum. Then the young master says, how is it possible that making food myself goes against etiquette and decorum? Human die if they cannot eat. I have been complimented for this dumpling stew from my father ever since I was about 10 years old. My younger sibling liked it too. That's the last compliment I heard. Nung thinks, that brat. Young master is taking a bowl and putting food with the spoon in it. Then he says to Nung, if you saw me, you should have come and said hi. Then the ghost says to young master, but descendant. Why has that bastard been glaring at you since earlier? Then Nung turns backward and thinks, what's the leader of Secret Mist Squad doing here? Damn it, he definitely won't let this slide. Then young master says smiling, it's you, Grandmaster Nung Jipyoung. Nung thinks that he is going to get scolded and then he says that I apologize for the late greeting, please forgive my rudeness, young lordigong. Then the young master says while holding a bowl of hot food, what rudeness are you talking about? Then Nung bowed down in front of young master and says I have forgotten my place as a vassal. Then the young master thinks, yeah, I am asking when you did that. To think the Nung Jipyoung is bowing, just what situation is this? The ghost is standing near young master. Then Nung says while bowing, then I will take my leave. And young master says is to him, yes, do that. And then Nung leaves the place, and his footsteps are creating a sound on the red floor, and young master is listening to it carefully, and says notice how you can't hear any of the food steps. Nung Jipyoung title is the Crimson Demon Supreme Sword. It's a title that was given because even the first-rate masters could not feel his presence. Then the ghost says to young master, just what's up with him? How weird. Then the young master says, well, as long as he let things slide quietly. Then the ghost says, anyway, descendant, can you leave your body to me while you eat? Then the young master says, "You said if I get possessed again, I could die." "No way. Go away." I said no. Then the ghost asks young master, "Must you get the ladle you left behind?" And the young master is walking with the ghost, and he replies, "If I leave it around, the maids might take it away. I am quite attached to it, you see. But I have been training my Tyene meridian for a month already, and it doesn't feel as the much has changed." Then the ghost takes out his palm and says, "No way, hit my palm." And the young master hits the palm of the ghost. Then the ghost says, "Look at that, you have already gotten used to harboring willful thoughts within your body. Even if it seems like there's no change right now, one day you will be able to sense that you have changed. So, you have a bad relationship with your sibling?" Both the ghost and the young master are walking on the path, and then the young master says, "With Hajuan?" "Yes." And ghost asks, "From the start?" Then the young master replies, "No, it was good when we were younger. I raised him on my back." And the ghost asks, "Then why is it bad now?" And the young master says, "Since I detached myself from him. I destroyed all the items he treasured, and I pinched his cheeks until he got bruised. By the time I left the family, our relationship had worsened to the point where he didn't even come and see me off. Well, it worked out." Then the ghost says, "Brothers within a martial family are designed to draw their blades against each other. Don't worry about it." Then the young master says, "I thought you said families should be harmonious." Then the ghost says, "Brothers are an exception. Brothers should not be harmonious." And the young master asks, "Why not?" Then the ghost says, "I had a brother too. But one day, he sent an assassin after me. After dealing with the assassin, I didn't kill him. But I destroyed his dantian and disrupted his veins, so he could live happily for the rest of his life." Then the young master says to the ghost, "I didn't know you had a brother." And then he sees his brother Hajuan practicing fight in Ruby Hall. The ghost says, "Is that your sibling you were talking about? He looks smart." Young master says, "Let's just take the ladle and return." So, there was a visitor. And ghost says, "It's boring. The back of my head will have holes in it at this rate." Then the ghost says to young master about his brother that he is steering you down to death. Young master thinks, "I told you what I did." Then the ghost says, "For a young child there's no other evil enemy." And the young master says that I know that too, so let's hurry and leave now. Then the young Hajuan comes in front of Igang and block his way. The ghost thinks that Shadow Moon Walk was incredible. His light movements are incomparable to yours. And then the young master also thinks and says to ghost that I can hear you. And then the young master asks his little brother, "What? Haven't you learned that if you block someone's way, you should speak? You must have forgotten how to speak during our time apart." And then Hajuan holds his shirt from back while he starts walking and asks him to wait. And young master asks him what he wants. Hajuan replies angrily, "No, so, I said Hyungnam." At one point everyone in the clan treasured Hyung. Though he was born with QI blockage, he was mature and considerate, so everyone just looked upon him the sympathy. He would make me spicy wonton soup every now and then, which made my kind 8-year-old Hyung seem so grown up. I was incredibly happy to spend time with him, and I thought my happiness would last forever. But one day, everything became different. My changed Hyung would fall into a rage and turn over the table with medicine every day. And no longer wanted to hang out with anyone from the clan. My father eventually turned away from Hyung's atrocity. And the vassal whispered to me that since Hyung had lost his morality, I should be the one to become the patriarch one day. At that time, I had no idea why such events had occurred. I only wished that Hyung would return to his old self. And play with me like in the old days. Earlier. Hajuan is practicing and says to Nung, "I think it's a bit smelly." Nung, who was practicing with Hajuan, says, "I think that's because young Lord Igang is having hot pot after this his training." Young Hajuan asks, "Hyung?" Then Nung says yes, he has been training here for about a month. Then the Hajuan remembered that it's the smell of the wonton soup Hyung used to make for me. If Hyung started learning martial arts training, maybe we can go to back old days. And currently, Hajuan thinks, "Shit. How could I make such a stupid mistake? I need to make this right somehow." Then he says to young master, "Hyung. The reason I called you Hyung A is." Then the young master thinks that I thought everyone hate me. Perhaps I was wrong. Then the young master says to Hajuan, aren't you a bit old to call me Hyung-ae? Just call me Hyung. Then the young master asks Hajuan, alright. Why have you stopped me when I was about to leave? Hajuan looks so confused, and he says, well. Why don't we spar like we used to, since it's been a long time, Hyung? And the young master asks him, are you making fun of me right now? How do you expect to train with me when I can't even use internal QI? I guess you just wanted to take revenge. Then the young Lord Hajuan think, revenge? It's nothing like this. That's not what I meant. Then Hajuan says, since we're training Qinggong today, I figured we weren't going to use internal QI. Then Ghost says, contrary to the first impression, he is so gullible. And the young master thinks that he is still a child after all. Do you remember, capture the goblin? That thing father had taught us when we were young. That's the training we are going to do today. Isn't that just a game? Then the ghost says, if it's that. I guess the training method I invented has been passed down. Then the young master thinks, capture the goblin was a training method? And the ghost says that's right. And then the young master says to Hajuan, whatever it is, that isn't up to us to decide. We must get permission from the Grandmaster Nung who is looking after your training. Young master thinks, it's clear that I will lose no matter what if I am to spar with Hajuan since Nung Jipyoung hates me I am sure he won't allow it. Then Nung says, it would be beneficial for young Lord Hajuan if young Lord Igong were to join us. Then the young master Hajuan becomes so happy, and he says, since Grandmaster Nung allowed it, there is no problem, right? And the young master says wait what? Then Nung thinks, with this, I will be able to determine whether young Igong is concealing his powers or not. He looks like he desperately wants to trample me. Then the ghost says, what if you were to spar against each other? I could teach you how to lighten your body then. And the young master says, even if that were the case how would I win against Hajuan? Ghost says, Qinggong is literally lightening your body as its name suggests. Haven't you been training to be mindful of your body for a month? If you manage to harbor the intention of wiping out your existence, there will be a chance. Then the young master says, is something like that even possible? And the ghost says, I didn't mention it earlier since I was uncertain, but I will give you a hint to prolong your life if you manage to win. What do you say? And then the young master says to Hajuan, let's play capture the goblin. And Hajuan becomes so happy. Hajuan asks, are the basic rules the same? Then the young Lord Hajuan says yes, the blindfold is over there. And the ghost says, he could just be more honest with himself. I guess he wanted to play too. If you are ready we shall commence. And Hajuan tie his eyes with cloth. Young master thinks Hajuan is a genius that was acknowledged by the elders. He will probably become the best in the world one day. I can only win by using the Taiyin meridian, right? The ghost is standing with the young master and then the ghost says, judging by his shadow moon walk from before, he does seem to be pretty skilled. But if that child is 1 out of 100. You, whom I had chosen, are one of a kind and the greatest of all. Teach your younger brother of yours the difference between heaven and earth. And the young master says, there was the saying in my home prior to my reincarnation. No younger brother matches his older brother. And the ghost says, I cannot agree with that statement. No younger brother matches his only brother? Seriously? And then the young master also ties his eyes with the cloth. And he says to ghost that pardon. Is that brother of yours older than you? And the ghost replies that the younger brother will learn from his old brother's mistake and become a bigger person. Then the young master says to the ghost that you are childish. Nung says, then let me explain the rules prior to starting. He is carrying a basket with something white balls. And the young master says to him, aren't we supposed to gather the pouches of the red beans and hit each other with them with our eyes blindfolded and Bell's eyes to our waists? Nung says that for the sake of training I have increased the level of difficulty. You will not be using bells and I have enveloped the red beans pouches with rabbits far to silence the noise. There are 5 pouches in total. The first person to get 3 points will be the victor. If you throw a pouch and hit your opponent it will be 1 point. If you manage to strike the other person while holding a pouch in your hand it will be an automatically win. Hajuan says, it's been a long time since we have played Capture the Goblin together, Hyung. And the young master says it's been 6 years. You used to cry after being hit with the pouch. And Hajuan says, I don't do that anymore. And the young master says, oh yeah? Watch your nose. Nung gives a signal to start. Hajuan thinks, capture the goblin, with Hyung. I will show him how different I am now. Hajuan hits and Nung says, young Lord Hajuan 1 point. Nung thinks, that's our young Lord Hajuan, he is definitely a level above young Lord Igong. I need not worry. Then young Lord Igong is He is using the Taiyin Meridian right now. Has he given up already? Taiyin Meridian first stage. Heaven and earth split. Nung thinks young Lord Hajuan has become flustered since there is noise coming from one direction. Young Lord Igong, just what are you planning? There is another throw from Hajuan. But the young master tries to catch the pouch. His eyes are blindfolded, so how? Then Nung says, young Lord Hajuan, 2 points. Nung again thinks, he dodged it this time. Can he sense the pouches? Young Lord Hajuan is still winning though. If he can continue this stake. Wait. So, since a while ago the sound of young Lord Igong's footsteps. And the noise from the air being split by his fists have been silenced. As if he has erased his existence. Young Lord Hajuan thinks, there are no sounds indicating his presence, I cannot sense anything. Where is Hyung? How did we play before? I was never able to beat Hyung at, capture the goblin, cold air. I need to dodge. Young Lord is sensing the cold air from Hajuan. And then the young master carrying the pouch in his hand, hits the young Lord Hajuan on his head. And the young Lord Hajuan falls on the ground. Nung looks confused and calls Hajuan. Young Lord Igong wins. Hajuan is thinking while lying on the ground. He remembers his childhood memory. Hajuan, can you stop being so cold towards me? Igong said, get lost. Thinking back on it, it's something I regret. I should have thought about why Hajuan had changed. I am sorry Hajuan. Then the young master's Igong flick with his finger on head of young master Hajuan and says, I am the one that won, but you speak like you won. Then Hajuan puts his hand on his head and says, no, that's not. I took all of your things. Then young masters ask, what are you talking about? Then Hajuan says, crying, and because of me, mom. Then young masters ask him, what? What are you talking about? Then Hajuan says, I heard that she passed away because she got sick while giving birth to me. Then young masters say to Hajuan, you little, don't say things like that. Then the young master pulled the cheeks of Hajuan and says, anyway, since I won, you do as I say, from now on. Come to my room tomorrow, okay? Then Hajuan says, that's not fair. Nung tries to stop young master when he pulled cheeks of young Lord Hajuan. Then Ghost thinks, I didn't say that I would give him a clue to lengthen his lifespan if he won. But I didn't expect him to actually do it. What a surprising boy, the next day Igong abode. What? What are you talking about? Hajuan is sitting on a chair and some pots are on the table in front of him. He says shockingly, you want me to tell father that I'll be the young leader? In order to become the young leader, there are 2 requirements to fulfill. One must first get permission from the courts of the elders and then also from the patriarch. Hajuan has only fulfilled the first condition and is therefore not yet the official young leader. But we won't be able to go back on the decision. Then young master says, I don't want a position like that. I can't live past 20 anyway. I would rather leave the annoying things to you and live my life freely. And then the ghost says annoyingly, it's my first time seeing someone reject a young leader position. Then Hajuan thinks, he probably thinks I don't mean it, and then he says to young master, but Hajuan about mother's passing away. Then Igong says, it's true that mother had a hard time when giving birth to you. But patriarch had everyone keep quiet about that matter. Who told you about it? Then Hajuan says, uncle told me. He said he didn't mean to tell me and that I should forget it. But I couldn't. Then Ghost says, Uncle Baek Jinte? That damn bastard. Then young Master Igong says to the ghost, damn bastard. He is one of the few good people of the Baek clan. Then Ghost says that he sounds like a real son of bitch. Then Hajuan says, if I become the young leader then what about you? Hyung? Then Igong says, I don't want to just idly wait for my death so, I will have to try and fix my body. Then young leader Hajuan says, what? Did you find a solution? Did you get into contact with the heaven's master divine physician? Then the young master says, nothing set in stones. I don't even know if it can fully be healed. And who knows if the heaven's master divine physician can even fix eye blockage. What I am trying to do is visit Chongrim. Then Ghost says, yes, Chongrim's old geezers are nothing ordinary. They might be able to help you. There are many expert martial artists in the world, but not many can be considered to have reached a transcendence above human limit. Those who consider to have reached such a realm are the orthodox factions Abbot of Shaolin, the Wudong sect's Sword Emperor, and Chongrim's Murim Master. He leads Chongrim. Chongrim is comparable to the 9 great sects, but only those whose skills have been acknowledged may leave the woods of the territory, so there is little known about them despite their scale. When I stayed there, I once helped them. I have never heard about that. I never told the clan about it. Then young master says Chongrim must have been powerful back in the day too. What would they need to ask the divine immortal blade for help for? Then Ghost says anyway, if you show them the token I received back then, I am sure they will listen to whatever request you have. The token is sealed inside the Qinggong temple, so go find it and then visit Chongrim. Then the young Lord Arjun says, I did hear that those in Chongrim are proficient with internal energy. Then young Master Igong says, yeah, maybe they will be able to help with my eye blockage. Then the young lord says, then you will be able to meet them soon. Someone from Chongrim is supposed to visit in a few days with another clan disciple. Then young master says, what? Really? And he thinks then I can show them the token that day and ask for help. And the ghost who can read Igong thoughts says that, then you better go find that token right away. I have set up some things to prevent thieves, so you better take a subordinate with you. And Igong says to the ghost that I don't have any subordinate. Ghost face to him that you have one right in front of you. And Igong asks the young Lord Hajuan, do you want to go on an errand with me tomorrow? And the young Lord Hajuan says happily, really? Yeah. Young Master Igong and young Lord Hajuan are walking through streets. There are so many people around. Then the young master asks young lord, why are you still mad? I told you to make sure to be inconspicuous. Then Hajuan says, I thought you meant sneak out. Then the young master thinks that I guess it was a bit too much to tell a kid who came all dressed up to roll in mud. Then they see a shop of sweets and Igong says to young Lord Hajuan, alright, you can have some sweets to make up. And the young Lord Hajuan runs to the shop to buy sweets. Then young Master Igong thinks, now that I think about it, he did say this is his first time out without any sport warriors. I guess it would be exciting. Then young Masters says to Ghost, but is this the right way? We are in pretty busy path. And Ghost says it's a temple to worship a god of wealth. Of course, it will be busy around it. We are almost there, it's that way. Then both are walking. Hajuan asks young Lord Hyung, but how did you know where the divine immortal blade's relic is? Then the young master replies, the place I was staying in was his. I saw it in one of the books there. Then Hajuan takes a bite of the sweet and says, a relic of the divine immortal blade that not even the adults know about. I hope it's really there. Then young Masters asks Hajuan, do you admire him? Then Hajuan says of course no one is as great of a martial artist as he was. And the ghost says smiling, what a smart kid. Unlike his brother. Young Master Igong says to the ghost, just lead the way please. Ghost says, don't rush me. It's right there. And Igong runs toward a building. Now the young Master Igong and Hajuan are standing in front of a building and Hajuan says, is his relic really in that pavilion? Top Golden Pavilion, what a fancy name. The name is written on the board on the building. Young Master says to the ghost, I think that temple might be gone now. And the ghost says, there's no way someone would get rid of a temple for a god of wealth when they built this place wanting wealth. It must be inside. Let's go inside. Now there is a man standing in front of them who says, nope. Don't loiter around here, you beggars. Shoo. Hajuan becomes angry and says how dare. And Igong asks him not to do anything. And man says to Hajuan while he is staring the man, you little, lower your eyes. They offer him a pouch of silver coins. While holding pouch in his hand he asks, where did a kid like you get this money? Then Igong asks the man, what are you doing? Guide us in. I'd like a quiet spot. Bring us a dish the cook is most confident in and a duck. And the man says, yes, right away, sir. In the young master says is to him, we have something to talk about, so bring the food a bit later. The building is luxurious from inside. And the man says, sure sir. There is a building looks like Chinese temple. And Igong is standing outside. He says it must be that one. Let's go. Hajuan says, but the food's not here yet. And Igong says to Hajuan, I told him to bring it later so that we'd have time. Hajuan says happily, right. Then young master thinks that he is a bit idiotic sometimes. Ghost says to young master, press on the heel of that statue. There is a golden statue in front of them. Is it this? Young master asks the ghost and then he touches the heel. There is a door on the wall that gets opened suddenly. Hajuan becomes afraid and he asks, you know about this too? You are amazing. Then Ghost says I am the one you should be admiring. We don't know what might be in there, so let's be careful. And then both jumped inside the floor. Ghost says, you have already improved your qigong. I am proud. Inside it there is a statue of an animal. Young master says to the ghost, there are traces of people having been here. Did the pavilion already find this place? I am dizzy just from using that one technique. Then I won't have to worry about traps. There are so many papers scattered on the table and there is something written on them. Those papers. 11 and branch manager, Lee Ryung, dead from disease. Pavilion owner Lee So-eun goes by Gumwa, daughter of Lee Ryung. Pavilions disguised as the mythical pavilion's owner. Need to kill. Jong-gu. Confident of the pavilion owner. Need to kill. Young master is looking on to the papers. Then he says that the rest is all written in code. I can't read it. And Ghost says, it's the lower class sect's code. And young master asks the ghost, can you decode it? The ghost replies, a bit. Seems like they're fighting over the 11 and branch manager position. This is one of their territories. Then Hajuan says, is this a statue of Pishio? Pishio is a mythical creature said to bring fortune and chase away bad luck. Then the ghost says, oh, it's that. You just need to stab its eye. Then Igong says, you sure made it complex. And Ghost says it's an important item. Then Igong says, the token is probably beyond that wall. Hajuan looks surprised. Hajuan is standing in front of the statue and the young master says to him, yeah, can you move out of the way bit? Then the young master takes a sword and hit on the statue and the walls open. There is a bright light coming out of the door. Light? But it's so dark. And Igong asks, what? Ghost says, I knew you weren't ordinary the moment you grabbed my sealed sword. Go on now. Grab the chance given to you. There is a necklace with red stone studded on it with a golden chain. This necklace is the source of light. Then young master grabs the necklace in his hand. Then an intense bright light come out from his hand. After that he found himself in empty place, he becomes scared and says, where I am? Who I am? And what is this? Young master looks confused, and he says, where is this place? What is this? Then the ghost put his hand on his shoulder and says, you rascal. Then the young master says with the ghost, divine immortal blade? Your body isn't transparent? And Ghost says, my descendant, you have very good luck. You were born with heavenly luck. Then the young master says, I was born with Taiyin Qi blockage, not heavenly luck. And Ghost says, it not heavenly luck for you to learn from an ascetic master like me? And on top of that, you observe this spiritual power of the Pishio's eye, what could it be but heavenly luck? And then young master holds the necklace in his hand, it has an eye, made on the red stone. And he asked, this is the Pishio's eye? And then the ghost says yes. It's the eye Chongrim and I plucked out ourselves to make a necklace. And then the young master says, well, there are ghosts. So, I guess animals from the tales exist. And the ghost says, you are quick to accept it. That's no fun. And then the young master says, so, what is this spiritual power? Are you talking about the light I absorbed earlier? And then the young master wears necklace in his neck. Ghost says, yes. The internal energy from the lower dantian comes from the middle dantian, and the middle dantian source is the upper dantian. The upper dantian source of strength is spiritual power. Keeping that necklace on will replenish your bit. And then the young master says, even using qigong for a bit was tiring. It will definitely become a big help. Then the ghost says you obtained something that's normally hard to get so easily. Wake up, young. I don't like you. Come to your senses. Then the young master opened his eyes. It seems like he was dreaming. Young Lord Hajun says, are you okay? You were passed out for over an hour. The young master asked confusingly while sitting on a floor. What? Over an hour? A sound appears, let's tie the bastard up and leave him here. Let's go. Igong says, what? Did someone come in? Hajun, prepare your sword. Then Hajun says, okay's young. Then the ghost says you woke up at the perfect time. Young master says to the ghost, perfect? What do you mean by perfect? Ghost says, it's a chance to test out your newly absorbed power on an opponent, so of course it is perfect. Igong says, what is this gap? Was something like this here? His accomplice might be hiding in there. Open it right now. And 4 man enters. One has cut on his face. And other man is bald-headed. They open the door to see. The man with bald head says, who are these hobos? The man who has cut on his face says, if I kill kids, I will have nightmares. Igong says to them, are you from the lower 5th gate? I didn't know you all were staying here. If you let us leave, I will reward you. One man says, gosh, so scary. And then the ghost says, you know too little. Are you afraid of them? Then the young master says to the ghost, it will be good to build relationships with the lower 5th gate. Ghost says to young master, there is a time and place for that. One of the men says, little kid, your confidence is praiseworthy, but that will be a bit difficult. And then he takes out his sword. The young master calls Hajun. And Hajun also takes his sword out and attack back. Then ghost says, you go as well, descendants. Young master says, of course. And the young master also attacks with the sword. His face stained with the blood of the other man. The young master thinks it was shallow, on top of that my sword got stuck. Ghost says, let's go of your sword and spread your solar plexus. Then ghost says, you were too slow. Did you forget qigong? Young master says, I almost died. Who says, move, there is an opportunity after danger. And young master says, I know. Young master attacks on the eye of the opponent. And he can't see anything. Sometimes you have to let go to solve it. If you lack strength, add some rotation, and use that force to cut him. Then the young master acts accordingly. Ghost says, impressive. However, you are a grandchild of the Beck clan. Do not become prideful because you look care of these profiteers. Young master sees, okay, I understand, and then he calls Hajun. And Hajun asks him if he is okay. Igong says, yeah, I am okay. When he asks Hajun, this isn't your first real fight, is it? Hajun says, yeah, this is my third. Igong says, now that I think about it, this is my 3rd time killing someone. The first time was in my previous life. Some crazy guy was running around while holding a knife at a bus stop. In order to protect my mother who was with me, I pushed to the assailant with my body, causing him to get hit by a bus. After a police investigation, I was found not guilty, but the thought of having killed someone made me sick for a few days. After that, in my reincarnation, when the immortal divine sword was possessed. That time, I cut a person with my own hands, but it wasn't as shocking as my previous life. It might be because this place is Murim, and my body isn't that of a normal person but of the Beck clan's grandchild. Well, if he came to kill me, he needs to be prepared to die. Then the ghost says that's a good mindset. There is a man who says to young master, oh, Grandmaster, thank you so much. To think you pushed those traitors, our West Branch is indebted to you. I will make sure you are rewarded. The man is tied with the rope and his eyes are closed with a cloth. Then Hajun says, should I take care of him too, young? And the young master says, not yet. Then the young master asks the man who is tied with ropes, what is your name? The man says, thank you for saving me, young master. My name is Yungu. Igong thinks my voice sounds young, so he immediately started calling me a young master. If it's Younggu, it's that name I saw on the paper earlier. The Western Branch Chief's daughter, is it her right hand? Then the young master asks, are the people I cut down traitors of the lower fifth gate? And the man says, they revolted as soon as the previous branch is passed away. I will report this to the current branch chief and make sure to pay you back. Then young master asks, who is this branch chief you speak of? I need to know to be repaid. Man says, I can't tell you that. However, I won't forget this debt. The young master says, how can I trust your words? And he takes out his sword and says, now die. But the man sits silently. Then the young master says, you are a loyal guy. Young master says, I just wanted to scare him, but the sword was so heavy I almost cut him. What can you do to repay me? Man says, firstly leave the cleaning up of this place to us. We will make sure you aren't implicated, young master. Also, our branch excels at gathering information. If you give us the chance, I will be sure to serve you to the best of my ability. Then the young master thinks that he is much more useful than I thought. What do you think? He asks the ghost. And the ghost says, if it's the lower fifth gate, it wouldn't be bad to build relationship with them. Do what you want. Young master says to the ghost, then should I test if he really has ability? And then the young master asks the man, guess who I am? If you answer sounds plausible, I will give you work. The man says, I can't be sure, but you sound like you are in your teens, and your speech has elegance, so you are definitely a child of a famous family. If there is a place with martial arts master at your age, it would be. Could it be? The Baek clan's prodigy Baek Hajun, unlike his lazy brother? Go starts laughing and says it is that guy. And the young Lord Hajun says, you bastard, how dare you? Igong says, he has skill. It's fine, this time organize the information of people who visit the Baek clan. Write the letter here. Figure out the rope yourself. Then the young master puts the silver coins filled in cloth bag in front of that man. And says, let's start going back. Hajun says, okay Hyung. Then Hajun says, if we go back, we will get in a lot of trouble, won't we? Young master asks Hajun, why are you scared? Then Hajun says, no, that's not it, but. Then the young master says, don't worry, it's my responsibility, so we won't get in too much trouble. But because it's been a while since he started looking at me coldly instead of punishing me. This time round he won't say much. Patriarch asks his manager, Igong and Hajun went to a drinking store? Then the managers say, yes, or vassal nearby saw them. Then the patriarch asks, how long has it been since he got back home for him to do something so arrogant? Then patriarch gets angry and says, this won't do. I will go to Igong's dwelling. Baek Igong and patriarch were both in a room. Patriarch was sitting on the chair and Igong was standing leaning on the table with one, and he kept one foot slightly bent on the table and his shoes lay at his feet. Patriarch stabbed his knees angrily. You've only just returned, and you're already taking your younger brother drinking? Are you aware that you're a Baek? Patriarch asked him with extreme anger. I am sorry, Igong replied shyly. Patriarch takes deep breath and asked, in 5 years, the 7-Star Council will be head again. 7-Star Council is like a fight between the martial artists. If the 9 great sects have the Dragon and Phoenix Council, then the 7 great clans have the 7 Council. Long time ago, it was a meeting for the people to gather and compete with their martial arts, but it has since grown onto a gathering for young and talented martial artists to form connections. Hajun will be attending the council, Patriarch asked the Igong. Yes, I'm aware, he replied. I'll just end up dying soon after the council anyway, he thought sadly and helplessly as his all hope had been lost. The Moyong clan, Habukpan clan and Chongrim's Tao sect will be visiting our clan. I assume they're planning to have their children form friendships with Hajun. You should make them your friends too, Patriarch asked him. Sorry? Igong spoke in surprise as if he did not understand. I don't have any interest in the 7-Star Council, he glanced at him and calmly replied. I don't care what you have to say, the reason I punished you today was also to fix that behavior of yours, Patriarch ordered him angrily and did not give importance to his words. What? Igong asked in surprise as if he wasn't expecting this. Do you intend on behaving so carelessly in front of the other clan's disciples? He asked angrily. Your mistakes will bring shame to both me and Hajun, behave accordingly, he said staring at him. Igong saw light emanating which later turned into Baek Songkyan. Looks like you don't have to go search for the Chongrim child anymore, Songkyan asked him. But why does he ask me to meet kids there? He asked in surprise as if he didn't understand. Songkian took a deep breath and spoke, explaining to him, he's trying to create an opportunity for you to make new friends since you have none. Don't you know your father at all? He asked him surprisedly. I feel like I'd be embarrassing him if I have to limp around, he explained nervously. Young master, great master stood in the doorway and called him. Yes, he asked him, turning around. He walked in, bowed his head and said, it's nothing much, but if you put this on your injury, it should help. Thank you, he graciously thanked him. It's a secret from the patriarch. Then I will see you. Great master went out thinking happily. Yin Gang opened the red box given by the great master and thinking about the thing present in the box. This refreshing smell. It's the Beck clan's secret medicine. For such a precious medicine to be strong in an old box, sure it mysterious, Songkian told him with smile. Father is so bad at being honest, Igong thought happily as if he was very pleased with his father's action. Then put on that medicine and go to sleep. You better hurry up with your training, given the situation, Songkian asked him. All right, he replied cheerfully. Next day, in early morning, Igong and Songkian practicing in the lawn of the mansion. Descendant, your posture is wrong, you must not move your body, Songkian asked him. I've been in this position for more than an hour already, I'm gonna die. He gripped, not maintaining his position, and started breathing deeply. Now, sit cross-legged, he ordered him. I will teach you how to recover your innate core energy using spiritual power. Since you've used up all your stamina, it should be easier to feel the innate core energy, Songkian asked him. Using spiritual power, to recover my innate core energy? He asked incredulously as he was drenched in sweat. And sit by crossing his legs. He close his eyes and start focusing. There seems to be a line of light running from his forehead to his stomach with 3 marks on it, one on the forehead, second on the chest and third on the stomach. A human's body is like a fountain with 3 sources. Spiritual power of the energy core fills the central energy core with the innate core energy. The central energy core's innate core energy fills the lower energy core with inner energy. Actually impossible to grow your innate core energy, even if you possess the Pishio's eye. Songkian explained him. But you have seen me using spiritual power, a faint memory flashed in his mind. That's mean your divine eye is somewhat open, which can only be attained by having a pure heart. Let's bet our hopes on that quality of yours. Now, innate core energy is a finicky thing, focus if you don't want to die, Songkian explaining him and cheer him up simultaneously. He continued to focus, but a few hours later blood come out of his mouth, which he wiped with a handkerchief. It really worked, he squealed happily. Songkian smiled by looking at his happy face. The bad energy has been extracted. Now, how do you feel? He asked worriedly. I feel much better, he replied happily. You should be able to easily use Qinggong now, it's probably only for a bit, but you'll be able to try the next step, Songkian asked him. Next step, he was confused. What do you think it would be like if humans were able to harden their fists like steel? Songkian asked him question. It'd be a piece of cake to break someone's nose. That is hardening, the second step on the Taiyin meridian. Of course, getting to that point will take a very long time, but I'll teach you the very basic tomorrow. It's already too late, Ingang replied after see the sun that rise fully. Are you going out again? I guess the punishment wasn't enough, he said him angrily seeing him go outside. I received permission to go out this time, he said happily and wickedly, therefore I'm gonna meet the house sect disciple too. Meanwhile at the top golden pavilion, affiliated with the 7-star council Moyong TK sitting with the boy the future candidate for the 7-star council Moyong Jean who are eating the leg piece of chicken, and Chongrim's second Kaos disciple Jean Lion sitting with a girl who is future candidate for the 7-star council Peng Mua are sitting together around table and having foodstuffs on it. The drinks here are always the best, Moyong Tak said with smile. We're going to meet the Beck clan's patriarch tomorrow. Is it okay for you to be drinking? You came all the way to 11 An. We need to enjoy ourselves. Would you like to drink, too? He asked them. No thanks, Jean Lion refused to take drink. Hyung Nim, since you're 100 times stronger than Beck Yun Gil, I must be strong than the Beck Jun, right? Moyong Jean asked happily. I am not sure, you will see once you meet him, Hyung Nim replied. He opened his mouth and laughed, causing the food in his mouth to fall out. Close your mouth when eating, Peng Mua asked him angrily as she was disgusted by this act. Sorry, he replied shyly. Eat quiet, she spoke angrily again. Okay, he spoke again. I'll excuse myself, then. Jean Lion stood up and asked for permission in a specific manner. You should stay a while longer, Moyong Tak asked him. I'm a bit tired, he said apologetically. He came out of the room. I feel much better now. He took a deep breath and relaxed himself. He thought he was finally going to return to his sect after 4 years. A red star has risen in the northern skies. A new wave seems to have swept the Beck clan, so go back. The message of his master comes in his mind, but what this message means he cannot understand. I guess, I have no choice but to trust this bracelet for now. He shook the thoughts from his mind. Bracelet is one of the Chongrim's treasures that is said to vibrate when it senses something divine or mysterious. Manhwa comes behind him and called him. You should have stayed longer. Why did you leave so early? He asked her. I don't want to see their faces any longer than I had to. She made a face and spoke. Especially that Moyong Jean, it's so obvious that he likes me. He is weaker than me, but he pretends to be strong, she said angrily. It's like she does not like him much. He was looking at her while listening to her with smile. Then what kind of boy you like? He asked her. A weak boy who makes me want to protect him, she told, thinking happily. What a unique taste, he thought in amazement. But I still like you most, she again asked. I like you very much too, he replied to cheer her up. Why don't you go on a walk? It makes me feel better when I go on a walk after being lectured. She looked worried about her, so she asked him. She came out because she was worried about me, he thought, smiled. Should I do that, then? He asked to make her happy. It's almost night time, so be careful, she said happily. All right, you go ahead and rest, he replied her. I did leave, but I don't know where to go, he was thinking by looking the people around him. You are here. A boy waved at him and asked. I've never met him before. Why is he became confused. You look like you're carved out of jade. How handsome. While he was thinking, a boy passed by him, and he couldn't help but think that he was handsome. That boy was Beck Yigang. You recognized me right away, Yigang asked that boy. Here, I've brought what you wanted, the boy replied. Good work, Yigang again replied. While they are talking, Jean Lion noticed that he didn't even feel his presences until he was behind him. He feel the strange feeling in the bracelet. He turn around and look at Yigang, but he went far from him. He feel that Yigang is not an ordinary boy, so he start following him and thinking he might be related to the master message. Yigang has a letter in his hand and thinks that to do it in 2 days must have been hard, but the house sect is more skilled than he thought. Sanqian appeared and asked, I don't know how good the contents are, but that's pretty impressive. I'll check once I'm home. If the contents are also good, I'll have to request for the inspection of the assassin's identity and the person who hired him, he replied. Good idea, he agreed with him. They both come on the grave of the Sowa. How have you been, Sowa? It's actually better being at the main residence than I expected. It's like you said. He talked with her. He remembered she always forced him to live with his family and return to the residence, and when he asked him how she know because she don't have a family, and she replied with smile, who said I don't have a family, I have you and you are my family. Do you know what happened to Sohwa? He asked Sanqian. I don't know either. Not everyone who die becomes a ghost like me, he replied. After reaching the state of absoluteness, my upper energy core was opened, and I opened my divine eyes. I attend a higher understanding, that is why my consciousness is still here even after losing my body, he explained him. You said I also have the spiritual power, he again asked. You reincarnated, and since you were born with the Taiyin Qi blockage, I assume your spiritual power is higher than normal as well, he answered him. How it is compared to yours? He questioned. What compared to me? It seems he enjoyed his question. I guess yours is like water on a sauce plate and mine is like a lake. It's that big of difference? He again asked him. Are you curious about the world through the eyes of someone who has reached the state of absoluteness? He replied him with the question. Yes, he replied positive because he was curious. He put hand on his head. Since your body has gotten much better, just a moment, okay, I'll lend you a part of my spiritual power through the pathway connected to my upper energy core. How is it? He asked him. He opened his eyes. Life is everywhere, he again asked. He saw lots of light. It's full of light, this is the state of absoluteness. He got surprised after seeing this. Suddenly he feel pain in his body. I guess your body isn't completely better, Songkian asked him, Jean Lion watching them silently, but after seeing this he got surprised and make voice. Who is it? Sungshan asked. I don't know either, Igong replied. Jean Lion followed the Igong and saw him on the grave of Soa. He thought he is just a child visiting his family's grave, and it's too bad to meet at someone paying respects to the dead. It was embarrassing as someone of Chongrim, so he must go back, but then suddenly, he feels his bracelet reacts again. He saw the Igong covered with a lot of light and got surprised. What is that aura? He thought spuriously. He thought it's like he was facing a martial artist of the same levels and patriarch. He put his hand on his heart, he was full of sweat and saw the light was gone. Who are you to sneak peeks at someone paying his respects to the dead? Igong asked him. Jean Lion kneels down in front of him. You must be a martial artist, seeing as you have a sword on you. A martial artist may be free, but you are crossing the line here. He again asked that I'm sorry, Jean Lion replied shyly. He asked him to leave because he was not happy by his action. Igong and Songkian both watching him go back. That Qinggong method, it's Chongrim's. Chongrim's degraded, it seems, Songkian laughed and said. Shenongrim? Is that the person who's visiting our clan? I didn't curse or anything just now, did I? He asked him. Songkian laughed and said it would have been funny if you did. Next day they all present in the clan. I met the patriarch, and his aura was very impressive. He seemed to be as powerful as the rumors say. Moyong Tak asked to Igong that I'd also like to meet Scholar Sword, even just once. I heard his martial arts is amazing, he replied. Deep, who I met yesterday, was the big clan son. It's just as the patriarch's message said. Jean Lion though, Peng called him and said, do you like him too? He laughed and replied, it not like that. I did not know there was someone like him in the Beck clan. Do you think he's good at fighting? She asked. I am not sure, he replied. You said your name was Hajuan, right? I am Moyong Jean. Since I am a year older, I will talk to you casually. You can also. Moyong Jean asked the Hajuan. All right, he replied. Moyong Jean laughed and said, do you know what a handshake is? It's greeting the Westerners do. It's been trending in our family in Beijing. You just need to hold my hand like this and shake. He's using the wrong hand to shake my hand. I will have to fix that later, Hajuan thought. They all were standing in a hall. We are here, this is the Ruby Training Hall. Patriarch recommended that you all get to know each other here. Guider told them. So this is this famous. I hear that this is something like a scared place where only the direct lineage of the Beck clan can enter. I assume your brother trains here alone, Moyong Tak asked to Igong. No, I've been training recently too, he replied. I see, I guess basic fitness is important when you are fragile, he asked again. Fragile? But he's the son of a martial family, Peng said. He was born with Taiyin Chi blockage, so he cannot learn martial arts. Moyong Jean told her. That's sad, she replied. No, there are rumors that he's really lazy and wild, Moyong Jean laughed and said. He's more of a shame. If he were in the Moyong clan. While he was talking, Hajuan slapped him. What was that for? And I am technically your older brother, Moyong asked him angrily. I don't want an older brother like you. The person you just insulted is my one and only older brother. Raise your sword, he replied with anger. We have to stop him, Jean Lion said to Moyong Tak. They have to fight at one point. I will be fine, he replied. Hajuan and Moyong Jean were stand in front of each other and holding their swords and saw each other with anger. Damn it, I was just trying to look good in front of Manhwa. I thought they were on bad terms. Was that just a false rumor? Moyong Jean though. They all watching them. Don't hate for having no mercy, Moyong Jean said, and they start fighting. I have practiced how to respond to the big clan's heaven and earth blade hundred of time, but I cannot see an opening at all, Moyong Jean though seeing the Hajuan. When they are fighting, Igong start coughing. Are you okay? Jean Lion asked him, but he was coughing badly. Oh, no. You're coughing up blood, he asked again worriedly. Hajuan looked his brother anxiously. He let himself get distracting during their duel. This is my chance, but if I ambush him right now, my image as our renowned disciple will be, Moyong Jean thought, and looked him aggressively and attack on him. He missed his attack and then punch on his face. Hajuan stepped back and then attack him with full strength and sue him using his martial arts technique. Did you forget that this is a deal for the sake of friendship? Moyong Tak asked them. You're getting too worked up, Guider said. Of course, it can happen since it's between children, but I did not think they had both be so into it. I did stop you too, but it's a shame we did not get a winner, Moyong Tak laughed and said. Moyong Jin nose was bleeding. Moyong Tak thought him fool as he missed an opening. He had brought shame to both for him and family, but he said to Moyong Jin against his thoughts that he was embarrassed. You should know better than to let yourself get distracted during a duel, Igong asked the Hajuan. But you threw blood, he replied. It happens often, don't be so dramatic, he asked again. How could I not? He replied. He's definitely get scalded too, so why do the two of them look so affectionate, Jin thought. Igong asked Hajuan that it's okay he won, you mean your brother did? Moyong Tak asked. Everyone could see that Hajuan would have won if they continued, he replied. It's good to be competitive, but don't force the result like that, he asked again. I am not, help your brother up and see, he again replied. Moyong Tak asked Jin to get up and he replied yes, but he can't get up because his legs get hard, and Moyong Tak got surprised. Since Hajuan's hand hit the pressure point in his lower leg, his leg will be in pain for at least a few hours, which would have made him lose the duel, Igong asked to Moyong Tak. You saw that? He replied aggressively. There's no way weakling like him saw something even I could not see, he thought. I thought I saw something, Moyong Jin asked. Moyong Tak laughed and said that's embarrassing for me. You've got great eyes. It's nothing, he replied. You did not even know until I told you, but it does feel freshening. Songkian appeared and asked. I couldn't let him act like this was a tie, he replied that I knew that child was no ordinary, Jean Lion thought. Manhwa called Jean Lion and said she liked him. It was a dining hall and they all sitting around a dining table. The Beck clan must have a very outstanding cook. This food is great, Moyong Tak asked. The cook is from Beijing, Igong replied. The Moyong Gus are arrogant and deceitful. Don't trust them, Songkian asked him and he replied okay. I am telling this all for your own good, he asked again. Eat this, Mwa asked him. What's that, he replied. It chicken, she said. That's not what I'm asking, he replied and thought what's with her. I'll just take it, he replied and eat it and thought it's normal for her. What do you think? It's great, right? She asked happily. Yes, it's good, he replied. While other were seeing them spuriously. You really just accepted that? Their shocked face seals are off-site, Songkian asked. Thanks, but I don't need any more, I can eat on my own, he asked to Mwa. Moyong got jealous by this. Your behavior is rather arrogant, you are shaming your older brother, Igong asked to Moyong. Why are you bringing him into this? He replied that I am polite to Moyong Tak as she is older than me, but you are his brother, and you refuse to respect your elders. How shameful, Igong asked. But he point out the Hajuan, Beek Hajuan also doesn't respect me. Igong's not wrong, Moyong Tak cut his talk and said. Fine, Moyong Jin asked rudely, excuse me? Igong asked him. Sorry, he replied. You're quite the bully, Songkian asked him. I just wanted to show how his older brother would react, although that was a rather timely action, he replied. The Moyong clan's patriarch, the scholar's sword son, pleasant faces wolf with a sword, Moyong Tak. His star cloud sword technique is renowned for being very sharp. He was always smiling, but his harbors a deep cruelty inside, so I recommend you be cautious. That's what I read in the house sex document. He's also smiling right now, but who knows what he's exactly thinking, Igong asked. But there's someone you should focus on more than him, Songkian replied. Right, Chongrim's disciple, Jean Lion, he replied and looked at him. It was a moon night with so many stars. Jean Lion and Peng Mwa was in a room. It was so fun today, Mwa said. Really, she replied. The Beck patriarch was super cool, I even got to see duel, but I feel a bit bad for Moyong Jin, she said. She takes deep breath and thought she hated him. He's not that terrible, thought if he did his best, he would not have lost so easily, but he was so nervous that he lost, despite having caught in the first attack. She replied I would have won against the both of them if I had fought them, she asked. Well, she is a competitive and skilled girl, I am sure she wanted to join them, she thought. But Igong keep glancing at you, she asked. Did he? She replied as she did not notice. Is it because we have met before, she thought. Igong was standing on a bridge, under bridge water was flowing. I was waiting, he noticed the presence of Jean Lion and said that he looks more like a scholar who likes to read rather than a disciple of a martial arts family, exactly moi type, Lion thought. I am sorry about last time, she asked the Igong. It's okay, but I did like to hear why you did that, he asked. A bracelet did reacts when near divine or mysterious thing reacted to me, what the mystical bracelet? May I see it, he asked again. It broke back then, so I don't have it anymore, she replied. What a shame, he said sadly. Nothing I can do anything about, I don't know why it vibrated either, Lion said. It's because of me, of course, he laughed and said. Is he calling himself divine, Lion thought. Or perhaps of the token I have, Igong said again. Token, she got confused. You recognize it? It is a token off the promise between the Chongrim and the divine immortal sword, he said, and show her a locket, Pixius eyes? She asked in surprise. I told you she will be shocked if you just show her the token, Songqian said. The divine immortal sword had our token, she asked in confusion. Then can I ask you for a favor? Igong asked. What favor? She replied. I read that if I show this token, to your dream will grant me a favor, Igong asked. I have not heard of anything like that, she replied. What's that? He asked to Songqian, but he replied, it's strange, can you lend me your necklace for a second? Lion asked him. He gave him necklace. How are you holding something this dangerous in your? Lion asked him. Dangerous? He replied confusingly. Did you not know? She replied. Dangerous? What's with that now? Igong asked to Songqian. I don't have any trouble with it. How strange, he replied. Pishio possesses a very strong gold chi. If you wear it around your body might erode from the strong gold chi, or you might go crazy, Lion asked him. But why am I fine? He asked. That's why it's weird, she replied, and started doing their secret art. That's wise mind arts. It's Chongrim secrets arts that uses the central energy core to manage initiate energy. If you can learn that, you will also be able to use initiate core energy. Of course, even if you show her the token and ask for the technique, she won't teach it to you, Songqian asked him. Lion got up and picked the necklace. Are you alright? He asked him. I'm fine, I can see the mark of the former patriarch. You're right. I have also managed to replace the gold chi, so you should be able to use it real power now, she said, and gave him back the necklace. Its real powers? How do I use? He asked. It's simple, if you just concentrate your innate core energy, she replied. I see, then I won't be able to, he laughed and said, because he had Taiyin chi blockage. Sorry, she replied. It's fine, then can I ask you for the favor now? He asked. It's something Chongrim can do, she replied. I want to fix the Taiyin chi blockage I was born with. I know the Chongrim master is said to have one of the best chi arts, could you help me meet him? He's determined to live, he's genuine about this, Lion thought. I don't know if it's possible, but I will try my best, she replied. Then we will go ask my patriarch for permission tomorrow, Igong said. Me too, she replied. I need you in order to get his permission, he said. We are asking the merciless Iron Blood for permission? I am starting to regret this, Lion thought. Moyong Tak was scolding the Moyong Jin in room. You prepared for the heaven and earth blade, but you lose like that. Tak asked him. I let my guard down, he replied. It's unbelievable that you have the same blood running in your veins. What are you going to do now? He asked again aggressively. I will win next time, he replied shyly. That's right, he cooled down and asked. I will make sure to win, he again replied. Don't ever forget, you must, he again asked, steal the Baek clan's sword at the sword duels and get revenge at the Baek clan for taking the Moyong clan's sword. If you prove that the Moyong clan is superior to the Baek clan, then the credit will be mine since I taught you. Moyong Tak thought, you are to crush the Baek clan's son in public. Tak asked the Jin. Okay, he replied. Alright, you just need to keep trying. Tak asked the Jin and thought he will set up the stage for him. Igong heard his all scheme. Why did not you reject this? A boy asked the girl. It was hard to, given our situation, she replied. You already received the money, but you also could not say no to the second young lord of the Mayor Coleman. That's why you come to me. Wait, why don't I make a bigger deal out of this? Igong asked them. It was a early morning and someone came to see Igong. Servant knocked the door and come in. He asked him that someone came to saw him and they have something to give him. How arrogant, what kind of valuable is it for them to come to me so early in this morning? He asked. They said you left a Juliet hair stick at the top golden pavilion, servant replied. Is it the high sect? What could it be for? I will be out right away, he thought, and went out. There's a girl and boy stopped by his people. The boy called him. It been a while, he replied them because he recognized them. I have to talk to them. Why don't you back off for a bit? He asked the servant. Sorry, I cannot do that, he replied. Then stay far, far away, so that you cannot hear us, he asked him. I did not order you to come visit me. What kind of food behavior is this? He asked them. I apologize, it's just that, the boy replied. I will apologize properly in his stead. I'm Manhwa, the branch leader of the high sect Xian branch. We received a request that might be harmful to you, so we had to come visit you, girl asked him. This is the request and the documents related to it, she again asked. You are not usually such justice warriors, he said. We are a rather petty crowd, but we do have a rule, it's to pay back what good deeds were done to us, girl replied. If it's something that might harm me, I should probably take a look, he thought and opened the document. It's a request from client Moyong Tak. About a month from now, rent the entire 4th floor of the top golden pavilion for a banquet, about 30 seats required. Heavily scented drinks and food, and prepare a duel stage in the middle. That is where Moyong Jin and Baek Hajun will have their sword-seizing duel. What if his brother were to lose? Where is he getting this confidence from? He thought. Recently, one of our members witnessed him secretly buying medicine that was assumed to be an energy-dispatching poison. Seeing how he emphasized that we should prepare heavily scented food and drinks, he's planning to feed that to Hajun, girl told him. What a clever scheme, Moyong Tak. Igong laughed and said, why did not you reject this? He asked to girl. It was hard to, given our situation, girl replied. You already received the money, but you also could not say no to the second young lord of the Moyong clan. That's why you came to me, he asked her. He thought, why didn't he make a bigger deal out of this? Bex Ryuzen's residence. You want to go meet the patriarch of Chongrim? Patriarch asked Igong. He saw a teapot and thought it's a wolf's bane, cinnamon and ephedra. It is a pain reliever? He thought that his father Ling disease must have worsened. That's probably why he wants to hurry and make the Hajun the young leader. I don't permit it, patriarch said. What, why not? He asked. Chongrim is far, don't waste your time and effort, he replied. My patriarch possessed deep knowledge in the Qi arts, I'm sure he'll be of help to you. Ji Master Igong, Lion said. Child, you are a mere disciple, yet you speak so highly of the patriarch without any guarantee. What gives you the right? Patriarch asked him. I apologize, she replied. I understand why father would react that way. He has not been able to fix my Qi blockage no matter what efforts he wants to, so he's worried that I might go to Chongrim and end up getting worse instead. But I cannot back down from this. Igong thought. I will go, even if you don't permit it. It's my life that I want to save, so don't try to stop me. Igong stood up and asked the patriarch. You dare speak to me that way when you cannot even stand in front of me? Patriarch aggressively asked him, as he did not expect this from him. What does strong surge of energy? Igong won't be able to withstand this much energy. Lion thought. I am going to go, Igong said again. Make you body heavy, wrap armor around your mind, then even the sword of the mind will not be able to slay you. Songqian asked to Igong. I know why you are not permitting it. You saw no improvement even after feeding me the Millennium Snow Ginseng. It makes sense that you have lost hope. Igong asked to Patriarch. What? How do you know about that? Patriarch asked in surprise. But I refuse to give up. I will survive. I understand that you are worried, but I don't not intend on sitting around waiting for the day I die, he said angrily. When did he grow up so much? Patriarch thought. Igong again sat on his knee. Do as you wish, but do become closer friends with the kids of Moyong before you go, Patriarch said. What with those kids? He said. You know, Moyong and Beck are not on good terms. I have even been in a sword-seizing duel with these scholars' sword when we were younger. We have now both become patriarch, making it hard and awkward for us to really make up. Patriarch replied. Would they still be bothered by that duel? Igong asked. The Moyong are rather petty, they don't ever let go of grudges, Patriarch replied. Igong takes deep breath and said, okay, but for the sake of Hajun and also for him. You're excused, Patriarch asked them. Father, I'd like to talk, just the two of us. There's one more thing I'd like to ask of you, Igong asked to Patriarch. 2 weeks later, Moyong Jin and Hajun was practicing in the Ruby Training Hall. Expected of the Ruby Training Hall. I have used quite a bit of my core energy, but I still feel like, I think that crying just now was pretty good. It's Hajun perhaps watching me? Moyong Jin thought. Hajun was practicing his techniques. What? He is not even glancing my way. is not it normal to be interested in watching what the other is doing if you are training alongside your rival? I have gotten pretty used to that thought technique, too. When we fight again I will. Moyong Jin was thinking when Hajun called him and asked why he was staring him, did he had something to tell him. Moyong Jin said no, he was wondering if your brother isn't coming to train. He's busy, Hajun replied. Are you sure he's not sick? And Moyong Jin said. Hajun gave him a shut up call, but it's true that your brother's weak, he said again. My brother's stronger, he even won against me before, he replied. What? No way, Jin got shocked. I could not even put a hand on his body, and I went flying from a single punch of his, he asked again. You are lying, he said. I am not, I am busy training, so stop talking to me, he said, and thought he won't tell him that they were playing a game. Hey, tell me more, Jin asked again. Igong comes inside and asked them, they were training. Hyung. Hajun called him happily. Are you also here to train? He asked to Igong. Yes, I have rested quite a bit, why don't we have a wooden sword duel? It's been a while, he replied. Are you in a good shape? Hajun asked. I am much better, he replied, but Moyong Jin also watching, Hajun whispered in his ear. Who cared? He replied. Get ready. Jin watching them and thought Baek Hajun hesitating to fight him. Is he really that strong? Don't go easy on me, Igong asked him. Alright, then, here I go, he replied, and run towards him and attack him. Igong take his position and stopped his attack that he dodged and even counterattack. He's pretty good, Jin thought. Hajun attack again and Igong's sword fell down from his hand and he also fell down and blood comes from his mouth. What have I done? Hajun thought and run towards him. Are you okay? Hajun asked. Hyung, wake up, he continuously asking him worriedly. Hajun said Igong to wake up worriedly. Jin saw them, he also got worried. Hajun shake Igong and said, wake up Hyung. Igong wake up and said him, stop shake me, and thought, had I reacted any later, would have broken a bone. Igong said Hajun again that, let's try it one more time, raise your wooden sword. Hajun asked him, are you sure? Jin said, there's no point, there's a clear difference in level, the results are obvious no matter how many times you try again, I am sure Baek Hajun agrees with me too. Unless you have someone to advise you right here, there's no point in painting this kind of training. They looked at him. Igong said, is that so? And held out his hand in front of Jin. He said confusingly, what? Igong replied, you taught Hajun how to shake hands, right? I want to see it too. What? You should have just said so if you were curious, here just like this, Jin replied him. You're doing it wrong, you're supposed to hold hands like this, Igong replied him. My hand is being wrapped, this is the feeling I had when I first learned how to shake hands, shit, I acted arrogant while doing it wrong this entire time, I am sure he's going to laugh at me. Jin thought that I just happened to know how to shake hands, so I am telling you, Igong asked him. Okay, he replied and thought he's not going to make fun of him. Then since you are better at swordsmanship than me, you can guide me while I train with Hajun, Igong asked him. What? Jin replied in shocked, and you should not speak casually to me, I told you before, he asked again. Okay, he replied. A handshake? What does it? Strange thing, Songkian said. It starts the simple greeting method, I used it quite a lot in my past life, he replied. If you are ready, I will go first this time, Yu Gang asked to Hajun. Okay, he replied. Your timing was a bit late last time, watch out for it, Songkian asked him. I know, he replied. Focus on the sword in your hand, the basics of the swordsmanship are the three powers, vertical slashing, horizontal slashing and stabbing, all sorts mentioned abilities stem from those basics. When striking down vertically, you must imitate lightning, Songkian teach him. He attack according to the instruction of Songkian and attack the Hajun. He's using Qinggong. You did well dodging. Now hold tight onto your sword and headbutt, Songkian continuously giving him instructions, and he fought accordingly. Hajun fell down and said my head. Jin thought it's a tie, but Baek Igong looks better than Baek Hajun. Is he won against Baek Hajun with that kind of trick? Baek Igong must have a harder head than he looks. Igong thumbs him up and said, how was it? I told you to guide me. He meant that he remembered when Igong asked him for training and he gave him some advices. Your footwork cannot keep up with your upper body as well, so I think you need to train your lower body more. He remembered he asked him that. Then I'll look forward to next time too, Igong asked him. We're going to keep training together? Hajuan asked. Keep training together, Jin thought and said yes. That's not it, Igong replied. I look forward to next time as well, Jin said. Okay, I am going, Igong said. My entire body is sore, I need to return and put on that medicine, Igong asked to Songkian. They come out of the hall. It is because your strong physique is yet to be mastered, he replied. What, are you hurt? Mohawk comes suddenly in front of him. I told you to stop following me around, how were you hanging on the tree? He asked her. Who made you like this? I bet it's Moyong Jin. Look at your face. He made the mess out of such a weak person. She ignored his question and said, I just got a bit scratched from training with Hajuan, he replied. What beck Hajuan, that bastard, she said angrily. I am tired, he thought. Songkian laughed and said, show cute, cut, my ass. I'm annoyed. I don't know if it's because she likes how I look or, he asked to Songkian, she is the daughter of a martial family, I'm sure she grew up around a bunch of muscular and masculine men, he replied. Are you saying she likes me because I look fragile? He asked again. There are kids with worried taste like that, he replied. Anywhere, why what are you waiting for me? He asked her. Right, I have something to give you, this is a miracle medicine my dad gave me. It's supposed to supplement the qi in your body, and it's also good for internal injuries, she replied and opened up box. There are two, so take one, she asked again. You are really giving me something this valuable? He asked. Yeah, I am healthy, but you have a weak body, hurry up and take one, he said. I have to eat it right away if I take it out of the box, she asked. You are such a good kid, he said. Let's see, it is made out of 100-year-old fleeced flour with makino, licorice and honey, he asked. You know, she said in surprise, this would be effective for enhancing inner energy too, although that doesn't mean anything for me, he thought. If you like it, could you do me a favor? She asked. Of course, what is it? He replied. There's the famous performance group coming here in 7 days, will you go see them with me, she asked. Is she asking me out on a date, he thought. Date what? Songkian got confused. You don't need to know, he replied him. All right, we can go see them together, he replied her. Really, you promised me, she asked again. Then see you soon, she said and leave. I thought you did not like her, Songkian asked him. She gave me a rare medicine, I can do that much for her in return, it's nothing difficult anyway, he replied him. Some people was standing on a stage, they have swords in their hands and getting ready for fighting. 5 mans were on one side and 1 man was in the other side with one hand. People's watching them from the outside, some were sat on the chairs while some were standing, that is when the one-handed swordsman raised his sword up high. You evil man, accept your fate as a criminal, there is no place for you to hide, surrender, one of them said. And the one-handed swordsman swung his sword, it was like seeing lightning in dry weather, with just one attack, he slayed all 5 of the Muram Alliance members. That is pretty good, Igong thought. His technique is a bit worried, but it's cool, Mu'a said. Think that's real blood? Hajuan sitting on the other side of Igong said happily. As if I'm sure, it's just something similar, Igong replied, making a play about the one-handed swordsman, who was the common enemy, but a great idea, right? Tak said to Jin. Yes, he replied. They all were sitting on the chairs. That wasn't my plan, Maya thought sadly. It's nice to watch the play all together like this. What a great coincidence that it was on the same day as the banquet. Let's go for a walk then go to pavilion for dinner. Tak asked them. I have met the one-handed swordsman once in my life, he was very pretty skilled, so I was interested in him, it's refreshing to see him in a play like this. Songkian asked Igong. I think you are more excited than Peng Mu Ah and Hajuan, he replied. A boy passed from Igong, he caught him by the arm, boy asked him to leave but he asked him to give his money back. What are you talking about? I am innocent, boy said. Igong thought if he's pickpocketing in a place like this, he's likely from the high sect and asked him, didn't anyone tell you who I am? Looks like Guma hasn't taught you well, boy though how does he know the branch leader name? Now stop irritating me and tell me, Igong asked him. You're so soft, Tak said. What? Igong asked. Tak picked up his sword. Igong asked him no because he didn't want him to hurt that little boy. My ankle, boy cried. It been save, many younger thieves tend to hide their stolen items in their ankle, Tak asked him and showed the money. Are you going to take him to jail? he asked to Igong. Let's just let him go, it's not a big deal, he replied. Right. You better watch out next time, Tak asked to boy and give him hand. Thank you, boy replied and hold his hand. Tak pressed his hand hard and said, this is the punishment I'm giving you, so repent. My hand, boy said and start crying. He does not know to be grateful despite the mercy I have shown him, backside. Calling this kind of violence mercy, Igong thought. You are amazing, Hyung Nim, a boy said, to be showing someone like him mercy, the other boy also said. There you are, I did not know you had been here so soon, Tak asked as he knows them, they were Greenfields clan's martial artist. One of them is Go Wisdom and the other was Seven Lightning Blade Sect's martial artist Yang Young. We were just out to watch the play for a bit before making our way to the dinner banquet, Yang Young replied. They started talking with each other. If they're martial artists of Xi'an, they must have recognized you, Songqian asked to Igong. They're being quite childish, he replied. Why don't we go to the pavilion together, Yang Young asked. That's be nice, but I have a companion, Tak replied and he is? Yang Young asked about Igong, Tak laughed and said, don't you recognize him, the renowned Baek clan's young master Igong? It's been so long, I did not recognize you, I am glad to see that you seem to be doing fine, Yang Young asked to Igong. Yes, it's thanks to you, he replied and said, I really enjoyed the medical medicine your sect leaders gifted my patriarch. They both got confused. You are always on the tail of the sect leaders too, Seven Lightning Blade Sect's Yang Young and Greenfield clans Go Wisdom. If you were too stupid to even memorize what I look like, you better keep your eyes open when you go around in public. Then we'll see each other later, Igong asked them and leave. It was a golden pavilion where Tak asked the owner that has he prepared everything he ordered him. Yes, I've already let the cook know, he replied. Good, take this, Tak said and give him extra money. You don't need to give me the remaining amount now, owner asked. It's not the remaining amount, this is just the extra on top. When I ask for the pure golden wine, mix this into wine and bring it, he asked to owner and give him something. May I ask what kind of medicine this is, owner said. Tak grabbed him by the throat and out him down and asked, do you really wish to know? Owner started coughing and said no. I hope you won't disappoint me, Tak said and release him. I will never disappoint you, he replied. Good, you must not make any mistakes at all, Tak laughed and said. A while later at the fourth floor of the banquet hall, Lion and Mu Ah were sitting around a table. While Hajuan, Igong and Moyong Jin were sitting on the other. The food is quite exquisite. But I am most curious about the pure golden wine, if only I had the body, Songqian asked to Igong. I did hear that this place is best known for it, he replied. Tak come into the hall and said that the food's already been served. Are you done with whatever you had to do, Yu Gang asked him. Yes, sorry for making you wait, he replied and sit next to him. You will take a drink before eating? I am not sure you are in this state of being drinking, he said again and served him wine. I cannot say no to pure golden wine, Igong replied and drank it. You sure are a man, Tak said to him. Why are you so quiet? Is the food not good? Tak asked to Jin. No, it's good, he replied. You are spitting out the precious, pure golden wine. Was it not good? Songqian asked to Igong. He sent his strong, I don't think most people would notice even if someone poured in energy-dissipating poison, he replied. I was asking about the flavor, Songqian asked again. Even if you had the poison with the flavor and scent, Hajuan would notice that his body was abnormal immediately. What is he planning? Talk tonight. And will you take another? Tak asked to Igong. No, I will take a break, he replied. Why is Hyung Nim so nice to Baekigong? Yang Young asked to Go Wisdom. They're both from the 7 great clans, he can't just ignore him, he replied. Just thinking about acting nice to him makes my body itch, Yang Young said again. Go Wisdom laughed and said, but provoking Baekigong in the op. I know he's rather neglected in the family, but would it really be okay? Moyong Tak Hyung Nim's got our back, what are you afraid of? Yang Young asked him, and if we just do our job well and provoke Baekigong, Tak said he will help us get into the Murim alliance. There is no success without risk, this is a chance we will never come across again in our lives. Now then, shall we get going? Yang Young asked and went on the table of Igong and called him. Young Master Baekigong, I have come to get a drink from you. I heard the place you were staying in was ambushed. I heard a lot of people died. You must feel quite terrible about it. Why don't we pour our drink out for the dead?" While he was talking, Tak threw wine on him and said, "How rude, you're crossing the line, you impudent scum." Yang Yung got surprised by his behavior because he was doing all of this for him. "I was hanging around you because the Tak Young Nims seem to tolerate your sect, but you are no better than garbage," Go Wisdom said angrily. Yang Yung was surprised by their reaction. "Let's fight then, I've been wanting to beat you up," Wisdom said again. Why things turning out like this, Yang Yung thought worriedly. Since there are important figures here, we should have a proper duel, Tak said them. Has his plan always been to use us as scapegoats? Whatever. I'll just win the duel, Yang Yung thought and said okay. Even some insects worth nothing are ignoring me? Igong thought angrily and stand up. He beat him down and throw the bottle of wine on him continuously. You want me to pour you a drink? He said angrily. It's getting in my eyes, I am not to blame. Wait, Yang Yung screamed. Igong turned to the Go Wisdom and saw him angrily. Hujuan stopped the other. One insect that dares to act so impudently and one insect that underestimated me and tried to use me, that's not something you would do unless you are confident someone would pack you up, Igong asked them. Is not that right, Moyong Tak? Igong said to Moyong Tak. You could have just told me if you wanted to fight. Was this kind of dirty scheme necessary? Is this the kind of thing the Moyong clan likes doing? Igong asked him rudely. Beck Igong. What are you saying? Moyong Jin shouted. You've given Moyong Jin a sword that's too good for him. I assume you want to rehash the sword-seizing duel between us two clans, Igong asked him again. Well, you're right, we have never been on very good term, Tak replied. Is this the scholar's sword wanted? Igong asked. No, it's all my idea that stemmed from my love for my father, Tak replied. Alright, then. Since you've prepared all this, Igong asked. Jin prepared your sword, Tak asked Jin with sharp smile. Hujuan, beat him up like last time, Igong asked Hujuan. Hujuan and Jin standing in front of each other and holding their position. It was the Seven Lightning Blades sect that provoked Gang, so why is he targeting the Moyong clan? Moyong Tak should be mad, but he just accepted the fight, people's present their thought. Don't be surprised even if something unpleasant happens at the banquet today, Igong laughed and said to Tak. Did he know about it? Tak thought worriedly. What should we do? Mu-ah asked to Lion. Are you shocked? Calm down for now, he replied. He moved so fast and shoved that glass in the other guy's mouth. I thought he was just fragile, but he's got a whole different side to him, she said again. It's a mess around here. Igong, why don't we start after cleaning up a bit? A waiter asked to other. I don't think it'd be polite to the people watching here otherwise, the other replied. Waiter, bring in a bottle of pure golden wind, Tak asked to waiter. I will use this opportunity to go to the bathroom. Hujuan, you rest for a bit too, Igong asked to Hujuan. Okay, he replied. Are not you nervous? It's not just a regular duel, it's a sword-seizing duel, Jin asked to Hujuan. So what? He replied. Our clan's honor hangs on this, plus you're only fighting because your brother told you to. He said again. That's why I'm not nervous, he replied confidently. Hyung would not choose to do something that would harm me or the Baek clan. It's true that I am fighting you because my brother told me to, but I don't intend on losing, Hujuan said. Jin got anger after hearing this. Jin, enough with the useless chit-chat, come over here, Tak called him. Yes, he replied and went to him. Tak poured him drink. Alcohol? What if I get drunk? Jin asked him. You won't get drunk just from that, relax and do your best, he replied. Okay, he said and thought he was doing this to be considered to me. Igong opened the door and come in. He asked the Tak to begin in. You took a bit longer than I expected, was it a number 2? Tak asked him. Are they starting? He replied. The drink Jin just had was mixed with the Tang clan's secret drug. I am a bit concerned that the house sect was the one that mixed this in, but I can just get rid of them later, Tak thought. This wine smells different, is it a different one? Igong asked Tak while drinking his wine. What? He get up and said angrily. Does it have gold powder in it or something? I only took a sip, he said. Damn it, I forget what would happen if you take too much of this drug, Igong thought and start coughing. Jin and Hajuan both saw him worriedly. The alcohol was poisoned, Igong said. There's no way, that's not poison, Tak replied. Yeah, I am sure it's not poison, Igong smiled sharply and said. Wolfsbane, White Seed, Ephedra, and Graminius, you put in quite a few dangerous herbs in there, Igong told him. How does Bekigong know the ingredients if the drug, Tak though angrily. Even just a little is enough to dull your pain receptors and your senses will be so much sharper that you won't be able to sleep for a few days. The person who made this must be skilled. There are quite a few things I cannot identify despite my knowledge in herbs, Igong asked to Tak. Shut up mouth, he shouted. I guess we should send the onlookers off first. I will count to all of you, expect Moyong Tak, Bek Hajuan, and Moyong Jin, leave, those who remain will pay for the price, Igong said loudly. 3. Everyone got confused. Should we leave, one of them said. But the one who invited us was Moyong Tak, other one replied. Tak Young, they called Tak. 2. One Igong count. Please leave everyone, Tak asked them. What? They replied confusingly. Damn it. Get out, he shouted. I would have at least understood if you use the energy-dissipating drug on Hajuan, since it's an important duel, Igong asked him. Earlier owners gave the powder Moyong Tak gave them to mix in the wine to Igong. This isn't the energy-dissipating drug, Tai is a type of medicine that temporarily raises your potential power. Is he planning on giving this to his brother? Igong thought after saw the medicine. Now he asked Tak that you fed your own little brother something just like this too. We are duel. There was a dog mixed into the drink how young Nane gave me, Jin thought. I am sure, you are well aware that such a drug has its side effect, Igong asked him. Shut up, he shouted. How can you call yourself the oldest son of the Moyong clan? Igong asked again. I said shut up, what the hell do you know? Let's go in the last and see what was happened then. Filled with joy at having been accepted into the 7-Start Council, Moyong Tak came back to his main residence to see his mother and the tea leaf merchant having an affair. His mother, who was the second wife or the patriarch, had opened her heart to the kind tea merchant for 20 years. He find out his mother affair and cut the hand of the merchant. His mother asked him for forgiveness. I lived my entire life with pride of being a renowned balanced disciple. There is no way I am the result of such a dirty affair. There is no way that dirty merchant, who used to crawl the ground begging, is my father. I am the scholar sword Moyong Jiankan's son. I will prove that the blood of the Moyong runs in my veins, he thought, and promise himself to prove that. Unfortunately for Moyong Tak, the older he grew, the more he looked like the tea merchant. He was the result of evil. Now, he asked Igong don't come near to him, and he had pushed him in a corner. He thought it's over for him if word about what happened here gets out, he will be abandoned by his father as well. Suddenly he thought if he can just get rid of the wine that's been drugged, he can cover this up. I already took the drug out of the wine beforehand, so don't even get any ideas. Cannot you tell by how fine I am? Igong asked him. Look like he did his thought. What is that you want? He asked. Go back to your clan and don't let me see your face ever again, and don't even think about getting revenge on the house sect for this, he asked. Him. These bastards are with him, Tak thought angrily. And 1,000 silver niang? Igong whispered in his ear. That would be difficult, he replied worriedly. You are the son of the big clan, why are you asking for me for money? He asked again. You can just slowly pay it to me little by little, Igong said. Alright, is that all? Tak asked. Yes, if you stick to all those conditions, no one will find about this, then have a safe journey home. The banquet was quite fun, as my father said. I hope that the Bek clan and the Moyong clan will continue to have a good relationship, Igong said with sharp smile. I don't know what will happen to you, but Hajuan will someday become the patriot, so let's be good to each other, Tak replied, and thought him as a bastard who insulting him till the very end. Let's see if you can keep smiling like that with the broken hand, and don't be upset, this is all your fault, remember? Tak said and shook a hand with Igong. When he leave Igong hand, his hand got hurt and started bleeding. He has a jewel on the inside of the ring, too? He thought. The embarrassment you had to experience and the injury on your hand just now, what are your own doing? Igong told him. How you was just so disappointed to hear that my young tank here will be returning in a hurry, right, Hajuan? Igong asked to Hajuan. Yeah, right, he replied. Tak walked to outside and Jean called him back to take him by. He asked him to stay here, train his swordsmanship and learn about the world. He will send some people here a month from now, so he come back with them. I tried to win in the sword-seizing duel for my father prays by feeding my own brother drugs, to my one and only brother, who knows everything yet continues to call me his brother. It was true that I am of dirty blood, Tak thought shyly and come out of the hall. Jean comes in the hall, Hajun stand in front of the Igong while Lion and Manhwa stand aside with the guard. Igong asked him, Moyong Jean, do you hate your brother? He replied, a little bit. Igong said, he used you, by you only hate him a little bit. He replied, getting my father's validation is something very important to my brother, but I'm too weak to guarantee victory in the duel, so he had no choice other than to use the drug. Igong thought, he's more thoughtful than I imagined. He said to Jean, do you really think you're weak? He said loudly, everyone, please leave the place a while for the sake of this child. Manhwa said, what? I don't want, but Lion put her his face and said, of course. Guard said, then we'll be outside. Manhwa said, can't I just stay, Igong? Lion stopped her and take her with herself. Jean said, what are you doing? He replied, there should not be an issue engaging in a duel since you have not taken the drug. It won't be a sword-seizing duel, just do your best. I am sure you are not nervous anymore. Jean thought, he's right, I don't feel the tension anymore. Hajun said him, come at me. He looked at him and replied, all right. And they start fighting. He knows the Baek clan's swordsmanship very well, Songkyan asked Igong. I am sure he would have done well without the drug too, his brother just did not believe in him, he replied. Is not it a bit strange for Moyong Tak to be acknowledged as the patriarch if you win this sword-seizing duel? There are better ways for him to better his position in the family, Igong asked to Jean. He saw him confusingly. Focus on the duel, he said again. If you won the sword-seizing duel, who would have gotten the credit? Igong asked him. Hyung Nim was it? Jean thought and start fighting. He broke the Hajun sword. I won, Jean said happily. Tai is because of the sword, yours is better than me, Hajun replied rudely. A win is a win, not bad, Igong said. Baek Igong, is what you said to true? Did my brother actually plan this all for my sake? Jean asked him. You should ask your own brother, he replied. But you sent him back, Jean asked again. He could not have gone far, I am sure you can catch up to him if you hurry, Igong replied. Just take this one with you, Igong asked him. Tak was walking in a street and thinking that all his life, he had worked to prove that he was of the Moyong bloodline, but how he actually acted was nothing more than a coward's actions, he only realizing this now that everything has fallen. Hyung Lim, Jean called behind him. I am sure I told you not to follow me, he replied. Did you form that plan for me? Having me win in this sword-seizing duel was not for your fame but for me, Jean asked. Is that what Baek Igong said? He replied, I have always resented you for having been born with the real Moyong blood and talent, that's why I taught you the heaven and earth blade instead of the star cloud blade, and not participating in these sword-seizing duel myself was also my own twisted. No, was that really the reason I put my everything into teaching my brother? But why did I? Tak thought sadly. Baek Igong gave me the complete 7-star blade, Jean told him. What? He asked in surprise. That symbol, that's definitely the complete 7-star blade, the Moyong clan's treasure that we lost in sword-seizing duel before, Jean told him and show him the blade. How did Baek Igong? He said surprisingly. He apparently asked their patriarch for it, Jean replied. He told me to say that it was being returned because they were impressed by our talent if father were to ask how we brought this bag, but he said it's not for free, he said it's okay if we pay it back slowly but that I have to pay it back if you cannot, Jean told him and give him a paper. Tak laughed after reading the paper and said fool. Jean saw him confusingly. He said he was not calling him fool, it was for himself. You have a good time there, Tak said to him. Yes, he replied. You received it, so you bring it back later, Tak told him and leave. Jean saw that Tak dropped the price note, he picked it up and read, 1,000 silver niang, his eyes opened with surprise. Is he out of his mind, did he have to pay for because Hyung Nim left? Should he ask for discount, he thought. Next day in the courts of elders. Igong, I'm sure you've heard the news, Patriarch asked him. Yes, that the Red Dragon Bridge found clues about the assassin, he replied. Yes. Well, you'll hear about that soon enough. I heard one of the Moyong children left. I thought I told you to make friends? Patriarch asked him. Igong laughed and said, we even gave back the complete 7-start blade. We're friends. Tell me more, Patriarch said. They visited because they wanted to challenge us to a sword-seizing duel? That could have that to a bigger conflict. You did well, Patriarch asked him. But it must have been hard for you to take care of all this on your own, he asked again. Does he know I used How sect? Is he getting taught? I am glad you were not lying when you said you will do fine on your own, but don't get too full of yourself. You would not have succeeded in establishing that friendship if it were not for that sword, Patriarch asked him. Yes, he replied. He's proud of you, Songqian said to Igong. He is, he replied. Hyung Nim. Igong. Someone called him. It's been a while. Igong, how are you doing? He asked again. He was the Baek Ryuzen's you get brother and Uncle Baek Jinate. He is called the soul thief of smiling face because it is said that he murdered in cold blood while smiling. He, too, he's an emotionless man like any other Baek clan member. Back in the days when the Baek clan was fighting the new unorthodox faction forces in Xi'an, Baek Ryuzen and Baek Jintae ambushed the Demon Point Pavilion of the unorthodox faction and killed nearly 100 martial artists. In that fierce battle, Baek Jintae took a serious injury to the head. Everyone thought he would not make it, but he survived after a surgery that took 3 days, but one piece of the hook was left in his head. After that, even his parents and own wife died. He could not stop smiling. Good job on the clues, Patriarch asked to Jintae. Of course, it's something I have to do. I will explain it in more detail once we are inside, he replied. They seemed pretty close on the outside, Songqian asked Igong. They really are. It was mostly thanks to Uncle that he found the Millennium Snow Ginseng, he replied. Didn't I tell you that the fate of Marshall family's brother is nothing wholesome? Who knows what kind of hatred lies underneath that smiling face? And the Taiyin Meridian lost its name because of him, Songqian asked again. You were holding a grudge because of that? He said. Inside the hall, Patriarch was sitting on his chair while Igong and other are sitting in front of him and Jintae standing between them. There were 20 whole assassins and we've only managed to find clues now, Patriarch said. Jintae laughed and said the Red Dragon Bridge worked really hard, don't be too harsh. Jintae, this is not a laughing matter, the Red Dragon Bridge image is bad because of your behavior, one of assemblymen said. Silence, a voice come through the curtain. It was Igong's grandmother, Supreme Older Baek Youngryang. Red Dragon Commander, tell us about the clues, she said. Yes, Supreme Elder, he replied. Bring him, he spoke loudly. A soldier opened the door and brought the man with his hand tie. Igong saw that soldier girl. She was the Red Dragon Bridge member So Ryu. She thought that he's back. The place where Igong resided was where the Divine Immortal Sword spent his last days. This is the architect that built that place. A few months ago, someone suspicious asked for the blueprint of the manor, offering 1,000 silver niang, Jintae said. You betrayed us for that change money? Are you out of your mind? Patriarch said. I sincerely apologize, he replied shyly. Asking for the blueprint when there are 20 assassins attacking? That should not be necessary. Isn't it strange? Ancestors? Why are not you answering? Igong thought. Jintae using whispering technique said to Igong. Igong, listen quietly. I am hiding something. You're the only one I'd like to tell the truth. Come to the garden once this is over, Jintae asked him with whispering technique. Something to say only to me? What is he thinking? Igong thought.